High School's auditorium was packed with students recently for a performance that packed a powerful message.
Kids think they're invincible, like most of us do. Think, oh, it can't happen to me.
It is organ failure. The story, told with South student actors, portrays a young man who suffers kidney failure, changing his life forever. Edward Drake watches from the front row. The play is based on his life.
20 years old in college, living a dream. Oh, it can't happen to me.
The Toledo native still has dialysis scars on his arm that remind him of the kidney transplant he received at Ohio State. And like many do, he asked, why me?
Man up above said, why not you? I say he took me off the college campus, the sporting battlefield, to put me on a battlefield of saving lives.
Why Not You is Drake's foundation. It stands for Youths Needing Organ and Tissue Transplants, addressing health and wellness with thousands of children each year. Organ donation is a pretty weighty subject for teens, but with 120 kids in this production, Edward wants them to know some of those teens are 16 and have a decision to make on their driver's license.
By educating them on the importance of drinking water and exercising, and most importantly, knowing the symptoms and the causes of organ failures.
Senior Brianna Romaine played a leading role and took more than a bow when it was over.
I never knew anything about being an organ donor until this production had started. So that pretty much gave me the information that I needed to really realize, like, hey, I can potentially save somebody.
Exactly the impact Edward was hoping for. In Columbus, Jeff Hogan, Commit to be Fit.
Edward travels to Colorado this weekend to accept a national award that recognizes an organ transplant recipient who exhibits great quality of life.
Wonderful story.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 Why Not Foundation Youth and Disease Prevention and Wellness Symposium. I am your host, Tafaro Cook. I am a two-time kidney transplant recipient who thrived and survived dialysis for over a decade. I am the founder of Kidney Care Coaches. We coach people with stage 3 to 5 kidney disease for better outcomes. I'm also the author of the 10 Dialysis Commandments. I have been with the Why Not Foundation since 2008. We have worked with hundreds of pediatric transplant kids throughout the country, in hospitals, transplant camps, and wellness events. This work is dear to my heart. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our founder and CEO of the Why Not Foundation, Mr. Edward Drake.
Thank you, Tafaro. Awesome. It's a pleasure to be back on day 2. Yesterday was amazing. The many panelists, discussion leaders, all the information, education, and inspiration that I received, I went to bed happy. I went to bed a happy man, and I hope you did too as well. Again, first, I would like to start off day 2 by once again thanking those who supported this event. As you can see behind me, our partner in transplant care, CareDx, Kidney Care's Coaches, What's the Move Media Group, A Second Chance Podcast, and lastly, Why Not Me Enterprises. Yesterday, we brought together physicians and health professionals from all across the country to speak on various preventative topics and wellness. And today, we'll do the same and sprinkle in a little surprises here and there. So first, I would like to introduce Miss Yolanda Wilson, who's the patient care manager from our partner in transplant care, CareDx, to come up and say a few words about their amazing programs and services. Welcome, Yolanda.
Thank you, Edward. I'm so happy to be here and so happy to be able to have this opportunity to speak with everyone. CareDx is an excellent company. For those of you who are not familiar with CareDx, it is one of the leading partners with the whole transplant community. We have, through digital products as well as diagnostic testing agents, we have products that will assist in every aspect of transplant care. And most importantly, and more dear to me, my background is a kidney transplant coordinator. I worked at Asher in New Orleans for about 10 years as a post-kidney transplant coordinator. So during that time, I had a lot of opportunity to meet a lot of people and take care of a lot of young people that had kidney disease, as well as those who've had transplants and the journey that they have to take. And even with the ones post-transplant, we realize that just getting a transplant is not the end all be all. It's still a process and a journey to make sure that transplant is successful. So I'm so happy to work with CareDx at this point in my career because I'm able to see the full journey. And I also feel like I'm able to give back because for those patients who may have not had an opportunity because they didn't have the right education, I can see it from a different standpoint now to understand that the more education we're able to give everybody about the transplant process, the more successful they're able to be. And with CareDx, they are number one focus and priority is assisting the transplant community in graft survival rates and better patient outcomes. And for all the companies that do offer services and products for transplant, CareDx is probably the best. I have to be a little bit biased to say it's the best because they are 100% focused for the transplant community. With my background, I was able to take care of a lot of patients that had transplants, but I also worked with those that were still in dialysis. So it's a scary process to get worked up for a transplant. And then even after transplant, it's such a hard thing to just make sure you're doing everything, drinking enough water and having the proper nutrition and taking the pills as you should. So I just think this is an excellent platform for everyone to be able to understand and know the questions to ask to make sure this is a successful process for everyone.
Woo! What a way to start the event, Yolanda. You inspired me. Are you an inspirational speaker outside of this? We need to have you come speak. We need to have you on a panel next event. But I can vouch that CareDx is an amazing company. One thing I love about CareDx is they do create win-win situations. Not only is CareDx a company that's impacting millions of lives, but they're also helping little organizations like Why Not impact thousands of lives. And you don't find that with a lot of companies that's also willing to help the little man impact, do what they do as well. So on behalf of our entire organization, we appreciate you all for everything that you do, for your support, and Why Not have a great day. Thank you for hopping on. Now let's get the ball rolling. Woo! I'm ready for day 2. It's Friday. I know everyone's ready to go. I won't say party, but do whatever you do on a Friday night. But without further ado, now let the games begin. Take it over, Tafaro.
Hey, Yolanda, thank you so much. Like Eddie said, CareDx has been a big supporter for us and several people, several thousands of people with transplants and dialysis and all those things. And we really, really appreciate you guys, like I said, taking care of the little ones like Why Not. So now we go into our peer-to-peer panel. Eddie came to me with this idea, and at first I didn't clearly understand what he wanted with this. And then he and I, you have to understand, we've been working together since 2008. And so we bump heads every now and then, but like brothers, we always love each other and come back. So he came to me with this idea that he wanted to do. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to see where you're going with this. So, and now I love what he's talking about. So this is the peer-to-peer panel that we put together. And Eddie, I'll let you explain it since it's your thing. Go ahead, Eddie.
Thank you, Tafaro. And Tafaro isn't overestimating how we bump heads, but he still believe in me and my crazy visions, along with the other hundreds of individuals who came through our organization. So thank you, Tafaro, for your faith. And it's crazy. Me, Tafaro, and Philip was actually talking about this, and we got our Why Not Connect support platform. But I was thinking, like, how can we connect both patients and non-patients to be able to understand one another? Like, many of us are former athletes, and one thing about athletics, it brings people together from all various backgrounds, ethnicities, financial status, and bring them together as one. And you get to understand people who's not like you better, and that has been valuable in my growth as both a man and a professional. And with this, we wanted to give information, right, to be able to help educate those who are hopefully would never go through a chronic illness, And we thought, what better way to try to help them understand that than to connect them with other young patients who are going through maybe an organ failure or some other issues. So yeah, we connected the Why Not Connect peer-to-peer panel, and we got some amazing young individuals here today, young men and women. So let's start off by introducing the Teen Non-Transplant panel. Please unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Miss Carissa Hansey.
Hi, I'm Carissa. I'm 16. I'm a senior in high school in Washington. And yeah, I'm really wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Washington, D.C. or Washington State? The state of Washington. State of Washington. Wow, awesome, awesome. And what do you like to do in your free time? What type of things, what type of things that excite you? What do you want to be when you grow up? All that good stuff.
I really like painting, and I really want to be a foster mom when I'm older. So.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. So you're philanthropic and artistic. Welcome. All right, let's start. Next, we have Miss Samara Monroe. Monroy. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Correct me. So yeah, Miss Samara Monroe. Are you on? Well, awesome. Let's go to Mr. Bryce Jenkins. I know I've seen Bryce.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Bryce Jenkins. I live out here in Houston, Texas. Currently a assistant manager for a detail car wash out here in Houston. Currently also in school to become a business major as well. So yeah, glad to be here. Glad to learn about your guys' situation. Glad to learn about just the overall process, the journey that you guys have been through, that we're all going through called life. So I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you're a former student athlete as well and a college student. So just tell a little bit about where you're attending, and how you navigated through the whole COVID situation with school and everything like that.
So I was originally going to the University of Cincinnati, majoring in their business marketing program. I was spending a little bit of volleyball out there as well. So I played for the original first semester, my freshman year. It was an experience. It was a grind. It's everything people made it seem to be, just consistently having to put work in, consistently having to go to the gym, consistently have to, just work on your craft. And then, things happen, realize that wasn't my passion, that wasn't the current thing that needed my attention. And then COVID happened a couple months after that in spring of 2020. So, we had a 2-week pretty much time frame to get off campus in March. I'm obviously skipping gaps here, but we had a 2-week hiatus, to get off campus. And then within those 3 months, moved out here to Houston. And now I'm in the process of transferring to the University of Houston to finish out my degree.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, you had to navigate some uncharted waters already, but it sounds like you're staying the course and yeah, keep it going. So I'm proud of you, young man. I'm proud of you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Great, great. And you said volleyball, right? That was volleyball, correct?
Correct. Wow. Correct.
Me and Tafaro have to get some tips. We played for Team Ohio, and they just set us on the bench. They said, "Oh, you just stick to basketball and track, and we got this." So that's all about, though. But thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here. All right, let's go back to Miss Carissa. What are your eating habits like? And if you can tell us a little bit about your diet.
Okay, so being
favorite food.
Yeah, being an athlete, I try and eat a little healthier. Not 100% great about it all the time, but I try. I try and keep a good balance, eat a lot of fruit and grains. One of my favorite fruits are probably blackberries. I just need to work on drinking a lot more water and eating more protein. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And do you have a nutritionist that you're working with at your school, or what inspired you to eat healthy? Because I know when I was in school, I was eating pizza and fries every day and a cookie. I still remember that to this day. So, and the chocolate milk. So,
in my freshman year, I didn't have really great eating habits, and then that just kind of made me realize I need to start eating a little better. And I've also taken sports med, so we did a whole nutrition unit, and that kind of sparked me a little bit too.
No, great. And have you felt a difference in your energy or in your attention?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more awake. I'm more attentive. Like I have more fast reactions now that I'm eating a lot better.
Okay, so the other schools better watch out. So yeah. Why not eat healthy? So, let's take it back to you, Bryce. Yeah, can you answer that same question? Yeah, what are your eating habits like? I know Texas has a lot of good food, so you know.
So dating back to kind of freshman year, like she had kind of hinted at, or just in general where I'm at now with the process?
Yeah, I guess both. Like back in, I guess, high school now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's definitely a difference. Definitely a difference in how my eating habits have kind of transitioned over the years. Just watching various documentaries, taking a nutrition class, which I would highly recommend everybody to do so. So it transitioned from your stereotypical teenager eating fast food a lot. I'm still kind of working on that now, a little bit better now. I would say a lot better now, actually. But transition from the stereotypical McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Bell, that kind of scenery. And then it transitioned to, once I got into college and started to, I guess, listen to family member stories of just, my dad having an organ transplant, certain parents, certain, individuals in my family that had diabetes running prevalent in the Black community, as well as hearing some of my closest friends that even played, that I played volleyball with had, a little bit of health challenges with their diet as well. So it really transitioned from, just kind of eating whatever, whenever, to really honing in on, especially my sugar content. That's kind of where I'm at right now. My main focus is limiting that sugar content as best as I can. So that's really transitioned into eating more fruits and vegetables, especially when it comes down to, when you're, for lack of better words, living by yourself, you have the ability to kind of orchestrate and maneuver what you're eating and how you're eating it. So it's really just making sure that I'm putting the right things in my body. And I've also seen a difference in my performance of just going through my daily habits of life, being able to get up, active and energetic, constantly fueling myself with water. I mean, I don't even drink soda anymore, just transitioning into different areas, and seeing the effects. So it's been a blessing really just to have that nutrition class and to see how it's had an impact on my life for the better. So
that's terrific. You all are the new age kids doing all this and that. I'm telling you, I'm serious. We're pizza eaters, man. We're pizza. Yeah, who inspired you to like eat healthy? Did you know of like any close family or relatives that got sick, or did you notice? Did you just say I want to go play college sports, or do just feel better?
So it came from a multitude of different experiences. Of course, coming from my dad, to Faro, seeing how his eating habits, transitioned to seeing what he was fueling his body with, just watching, observing, what other individuals who've had those health challenges, how they transition their diet as well. So just being, self-aware and observing, the consequences of not paying attention to what you're eating, and then realizing that if you change those now, because it's one of those things where your habits continue on if you choose to. So it's one of those things where I put that pause and I was like, wait a minute, even though right now it's 16, 17, 18, it may seem okay to eat these type of foods, those long-term consequences will come. So it's basically, letting the joy of the moment, so letting that quick access food, the joy of the moment overshadow the consequence of the future, which is having those health problems, therefore to come. So it was just being, observant and listening to what other people were telling me of just, hey, don't eat this or limit this intake, or even, my dad talking to my mom about, hey, limit the amount of groceries that you're getting with this high sugar content. So it's just listening and paying attention is really what it came down to.
Wow. So would you say having someone like your dad in your life, did that play like a huge role as far as,
Absolutely. Not to interrupt you, but absolutely. It sets you on that kind of narrow path where, when you see it, it's one of those things where when you're just kind of hearing it, you're like, oh, okay, well, this person is telling me this. But when you're seeing it, and you see, once again, those consequences where you have various family members with those health problems, it makes you take a step back and think, wait a minute, just because I'm young doesn't mean that it's for lack of better words, inevitable for that to happen. I can put a stop in this and say, hey, let me take control of what I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body, so I can set myself up better in the future.
Awesome, man. Great responses. You all are very sharp. So let's go back to Carissa. Carissa, have you dealt with any health issues or had any family members that dealt with any issues, diabetes, cancer, organ failure, And if you can, or if you have, can you elaborate, like, what was it like seeing them go through it, and did it have any effect on how you live your life on a daily basis, should I say?
Yeah, definitely. My Aunt Tiffany, she's actually the one that like got me involved in this. She's a kidney transplant patient and stuff. So I've gone with her through her story and everything. And then growing up, I had a couple issues with my kidneys here and there too. So that kind of scared me a little bit since it was in the family. And now I just struggle with really bad migraines, always have. So
you've heard of like young people getting sick as well, or have you had any classmates who dealt with issues like that? Have you had a chance to have a conversation with them at all?
I had a couple like 2 years ago, but I didn't really like talk to them about it because it felt like it was kind of personal to them. I didn't want to like bring it up or anything, but I definitely had a few people that have had those issues in my life.
Okay, great. Well, we got a few surprises today for some more conversation. But have you checked your blood pressure? Or how often do you go to the doctors, and what is it like when you go to the doctors? I know when I was young, I always say I would go to the doctor and they'll hit my knee and look at my ear and and say you're fine. It wasn't until I actually got sick that now when I go that I get more extensive care, and I got the best medical providers in the world. I have one who's on here. Thank you so much. But yeah, what is it like for you when you go to the doctors?
Okay, so I get injured quite often. I'm very clumsy, especially during sports, so I'm in there quite often. And I have semi-high blood pressure, so I'm on medication for that right now because it runs on my mom's side of the family. So I'm trying to get that done with now. Yeah, to check everything and stuff. It's pretty simple, I think.
Do you know what's normal? What's the normal range for a blood pressure, or what's the normal range for a fever, and what's I guess the normal range for, I guess, yeah, just those two, starting with those two.
Not really. I kind of just go off of what I'm told by my doctors and stuff, but I should probably start looking into that a little bit more and everything.
Definitely. Awesome. And I asked you that same question, Bryce. Have you dealt with any health issues, health challenges? And if you haven't, have you dealt with, do you know any family members who has? And yeah.
So I wouldn't particularly say health challenges. I would say, because I have a skin condition called aquagenic urticaria. So it's a very rare condition. It's a condition where, as crazy as it sounds, when I come in contact with water, my skin breaks out in hives. So I have to take an allergy medicine to kind of counter that. It's nowhere near, of course, to the scale of having any transplants or anything of surgery. So I'm blessed to say that. But nothing severe.
Okay. And have you had any family members who dealt with any health issues, and have you connected with any maybe some of your former classmates or some other young people who may have been less fortunate than you to have faced these health issues, chronic illness?
So I can't, not off the top of my head that I can think of. Definitely had some encounters with some individuals, grandparents, of course, my dad that we spoke about, of course, grandparents having diabetes and that nature. So nothing, I guess, immediate that I can think of off the top of my head, but the encounters that I have had have been quite interesting in the aspect where it once again, it comes back to my foundation of gratitude, where you're like, man, I'm listening to this person who has been through something that I didn't think that I could go through, or I don't think that I could go through. And you're like, man, I'm just so fortunate to have, the things that I do have and not have any serious health consequences. So, with that being said, I thought, not off the top of my head, but the one encounters that I have had, it definitely has shaped, a different perspective on mine of appreciation.
Okay. And the last question that I have for each of you on this particular segment is, if you can give me one word that describes you and describes your health goals, what would you say? Just one, like mine would be just live, I just want to live, or strong, one of them. Yeah. So what would yours be?
Is that me?
Yes. Yeah, I'll start with that. Sorry.
Okay. So I would probably go with faith. I think faith is a big one for me. Just trusting the process. I mean, all of us, every individual in this world is going through life in our own journeys, fighting our own battles, whatever they may be, mental, physical, emotional. So I would say faith. Trusting that process is my biggest one. And I'm sorry, the last question was
that was it. Basically, just one word that
okay.
would describe you and describe. Yeah. So, and I asked you that same question, Carissa. What is one word that describe you and your health goals?
I'd probably go with fulfill. Maybe because I just want to live in the moment, but I also want to work forward to the future and everything. So I have what I'm working on now, but so it can build up higher. So I have those goals, so I fulfill it every little bit.
So let me ask you this, because fulfill, that's a I need to change mine. That's mine too, fulfilled. Yeah, my word is fulfilled too. What does fulfillment mean to you? What is it? What is it? Define it, and how does it apply to your life? Fulfillment or fulfill what?
To me, I feel like it's more of make the best out of what you got type of thing, and just like you fill up what you have in your heart kind of thing to what you're capable of doing. And you try and make the best out of it.
Make the best out of whatever it is, right? It always can be worse, right?
Exactly.
Awesome, definitely. Well, I give you a round of applause. We're not done yet, but we're gonna transition over to the transplant panel, and I'll have you all join us shortly. And I would like to welcome the transplant panel. These young gentlemen, they inspire me. It's like in my work with various patients across the country, and our work with various patients across the country, families. A lot of people thank us for what we do, but really they don't know that they're actually providing us emotional support, us helping them give us some sort of purpose and give us some sort of it feels like fulfillment. See, that's a word. See, Carissa, you give us fulfillment. So without further ado, I would like to introduce first my Team Ohio teammate. He's the man. He just graduated. So definitely congratulations on graduation. The man, superhero, Mr. Nathan Hart. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself. What type of things you enjoy doing, and a little bit about your health challenges.
So as Edward said, I'm from Ohio, from around the Cleveland area. I'm actually a junior, so unfortunately, I'm not moving to college. Sometimes I wish I was almost done with high school, but gotta enjoy it. But I mean, I really love sports. I help with the basketball team. I play golf, but my whole world pretty much revolves around sports.
Okay.
So I mean,
that's all. What's your favorite sport, and what do you enjoy most as far as about being in school? Enjoy school. Like I said, I was in a rush to graduate, but enjoy it because you'll never get those days back. So
yeah, I mean, my favorite sport, probably, as much as I do love playing golf, it's probably basketball. I just love the game. I love the love being around it, the people that it brings. Yeah. And then my favorite part about school is just being with my friends, enjoying the little moments without the day, the stuff that, would usually go unnoticed without having your friends with you. But yeah.
Oh, awesome. What's your favorite subject?
I like history.
Okay, really? Okay. That's awesome. Why is that?
I think it's just interesting to see kind of the past and see what has happened and what has worked and what hasn't worked throughout the world. And, to kind of see the correlations to modern day to what has happened in the past and see that type of connection, which I think is really interesting.
Awesome. And I know I said I was going to sprinkle some surprises. What do you want to be when you grow up, or what you want to be when you graduate? Because, you've grown up ever since I've seen you. So you already grown up. So what do you want to be when you're an adult, should I say?
I want to do something of like sports management and then also business. So I mean something in that kind of field, maybe a sports agent,
Okay.
something in the sports area in the sports field, and
Uh-huh.
also kind of spreading awareness to kidney disease and transplant stuff
No,
along with that. So yeah,
awesome. Remember this little guy. I want some tickets. I'll be in touch. Thank you, Nate. Okay,
thank you.
Nathan. Next, Mr. Anthony McPhee. He's the man. We've been working with him since he was a little guy as well. Like I said, the organization been around 15, 16 years. So we've been working with Anthony since he was, I don't know how old, Anthony.
Like 8.
And how old are you now?
I'm 21.
See, like I said, we've been around the little organization been around kicking up the road, kicking the can up the road for a long time. So, but yeah, I'll ask you those same questions. Tell a little bit about yourself, where you're from, you know.
So I'm Anthony McPhee. I am a double kidney recipient, and I go to Ashland University. I am a junior. Almost just about to be a junior. I'm actually really excited to go back, but yeah, and I'm a theater and business major, and I'm eventually trying to become an actor, but also trying to own my own production company down the road. So yeah.
Now I told Anthony I'm here in Atlanta and I do a lot of work in the film with my other company, but I told him I got to get him out here because yeah, like I said, he got the next superstar. Once again, I want some movie passes. I love rap parties. I love going to the rap parties. So, you know, I'm gonna recruit you and help you out so I can get some free access. But yeah, like what do you enjoy most about being a college student, and you know how is high school or how is college different from high school as far as both socially and academically?
Okay. Well, I would say the difference between high school and college, at least academically, is a little bit more challenging because you don't have like a teacher. You're more dependent on yourself. So especially, but you also control the type of workload you have also. So you're in control of your heart that you choose. But socially, it just depends because in high school you're surrounded by people, the same amount of people, but in college you have the opportunity to meet new people that you haven't met before, or just interact with professors, or just interact with so many different people that you learn from them and you grow with them and they help you, you help them, and it's kind of nice to just hear other people's experiences.
Now, awesome. And my last question would be, say if I popped up on you right now in college, where would I find you at? What's your favorite place? Mine was the probably at the rec center. You know, you can eat there, you can hang out, with the women, everything, all in one place. So mine was the rec center.
Actually, it would probably be the rec center. I go there this time. Actually, I work at the rec center too. So
oh man, you got all right.
Yeah, I work at the rec center. So
yeah. I almost forgot I was in my professional mode. Okay. Nah, awesome, man. Awesome. Let's go back to Anthony. Or let's go back to Nathan. What was do you have a chronic illness? And if so, what is it, to the extent of how you feel comfortable talking about it? And what was the causes of whatever your chronic illness is?
So I had a kidney transplant. It was from a birth defect. Both of my kidneys were dysfunctional pretty much. One was like fully not working. The other's like 9 or 10%. So I had my transplant when I was 2. But I mean, it was, from what I've been told, it's from basically a birth defect. I think it's something, but I mean, it's pretty much just a birth defect that caused it. Luckily, I had my transplant when I was younger, so I didn't have to deal with kind of having a normal life almost, and then having that taken away from me, which I mean, I can't imagine that. But I mean, it's something that I've always lived with, which I mean, it's kind of been a part of me.
Okay.
So
and like, what are some of the challenge from having an illness of that ilk?
I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Some of the biggest ones, of course, I said I'm a pretty big sports fan. I love sports. Pretty much with the kidney transplant, you're not allowed to do much contact. So that's why I kind of fell into being able to like help being a manager. And then for other like more important stuff is, I constantly have to deal with workload of school, staying healthy, taking my medicine, and then also having fun at the same time, but also, caring for myself while living life, which is a lot at sometimes.
How many medications do you take per day?
I think it's close to 10. I'm very fortunate from what I've been told that I know there's a lot. I've met a lot of multiple kidney transplant games. People take just a lot of medicine. I'm fortunate to take under 10 pills, but I mean, yeah, it's hard to manage just because not everyone that I'm friends with and stuff, none of my friends have to really 12-hour shift, 7:30. I just know I have to take my medicine. But I mean, I'm very fortunate that it's the few amount of pills that I have to take though, because I know people have it a lot worse.
Man, I love that positive attitude. Like I said, that's why you're going far. I always say your attitude or your altitude in life is predicated on your attitude. So that's why sky's the limit. So thank you, Nathan. Anthony, I asked you that same question. Do you have a chronic illness? If so, what is it? And just tell us a little bit about life as a college student with it and how it was just growing up with the chronic illness.
Okay, so I've had kidney failure since from birth. So I was born with one kidney, and then that kidney failed when I was like finally failed. It was barely working. It was like tweaking a little bit till I was 5. So then that one failed, and then I got on dialysis for the first time. So going through that process, because I could only do hemodialysis because peritoneal didn't work with me. So I only did went to school 2 days a week. So the workload was 10 times harder because I was but it was kind of fun. It was interesting. It was a point of conversation for a lot of people. Like, why does he get to miss school so much? I was like, but now that since it's been 10 years since I got the second transplant and being in college and taking, it's kind of hard sometimes because I have a little bit more to juggle besides school and work but I have to take care of myself as well, and then also balancing the fun and try to be as normal as possible 21-year-old. So
do you do sometimes you sit back like I know I do a lot of this. I sit back and wish I didn't have to take all these medications and and the complications from the medications such as skin cancer and stuff like that. Do you do you wish the same thing and almost have that why me syndrome in which I often still have to this day?
yes, yeah, I do. Not as much, but I know when I was younger, it was like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to miss school? Why why can't I just be like everyone else type of thing a lot. So yeah, I still have thoughts about that sometimes, but then most of the time I'm just like, well, it's what I have to deal with. I've always dealt with it. It's just what how could I be the person I am today without going through the struggles that I've been through when I was younger? So
wow. And I tell everyone, like I said, who thanks us for the work we do, who wouldn't want to be around positive young men like this all day, men and women like this all day? Like I said, I'm inspired already, and it made anything that I had that was going wrong in my day brighter. So you are bright in my day. So thank you. The last question for this panel is who is your support system and why is it important to have a support system for people going through such health challenges or just life challenges? I'll start with Nathan.
It's definitely has to be my family. They're there for me for everything. Whether it's taking me to doctor's appointments, there for me, surgery prep, going to surgery, sticking through the countless hours of surgery, doing boring stuff and waiting for me to get out. It just has to be them. They didn't, I know my parents were planning on this, definitely, but they've made the best and they've really helped me. Especially, just my whole family has just been so supportive through this journey with me.
And yeah, I know your mother, and it seems like you have an amazing family. And I know your mother. Your mother is lovely. She's awesome. She's amazing. She actually helped us get you on here. So thank you, Miss Hart. Hey, how you doing? But yeah, like what type of things do they treat you differently from your other siblings if you have some because of your health challenges?
I mean, not really. They just expect me to maintain the kind of what they say the basics is drink water, know what my meds are, know the basic stuff that I shouldn't be doing with my kidney transplant. But besides that, no, they don't really treat me differently, which is great. I really like that just because it's not much of a difference really that I see besides a couple of extra bottles of water I have to drink and some meds. I tend to see myself as a normal person besides a little bit of some differences. But I mean, yeah, they don't treat me too different, which I'm pretty gracious for because I don't find myself to be that, excessively different because a lot of people have it worse than me.
Wow. There you go. You trying to inspire, you trying to make me cry, man. Seriously. Like, hey. No, that's great, man. That's great. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, my biggest support system has to be my family. Next would be my closest friend, my kidney family from kidney camp would be would be top tier second place. Some because everybody when I get a surgery, I get a text from everyone from camp or just we talk and we just about good luck. We actually talk about surgeries that we're up going to have, and then we all wish luck and ask get well soon. And for my family's been through as much of it as probably I have. They've driven me to everything, even when they were tired and didn't want to. And my mom has been to every appointment. My dad has taken care of me after surgeries. So they both have really been there for me. When I was younger, they kind of treated me differently because I'm the only one that in the family really with kidney stuff at my age. So they were like, be prepared. And then like just out of caring. And teachers would too, actually. When I got into middle school and high school, I had so many teachers that would be like, Anthony, have you drank water today? I was like, yes, I have. It was like, you should fill it up again. I was like, but I'm like, yeah. So I have a lot of people that supported me and treated me as normal as possible.
That's awesome. And I have an additional question for you both. And I'll start with you, Anthony, since you're on my screen right now. What would you tell a younger Anthony or younger children right now who may be anywhere in the country who's going through what you've been through or currently going through, as far as to never give up and to stay inspired, know that it's hope? What words of encouragement would you give the younger Anthony or young lady?
Okay. So I would probably give 2 words of encouragement. One is embrace your scars. That took me a really long time to do because, but yeah, embrace your scars because they're part of your story, part of your roadmap. All over, you have a story painted all over your body just from those scars. And then 2, it's just enjoy it. Don't just I wouldn't say like enjoy it because they're going to have times of rough patches, but just be thankful that you got to the other side, or even if you're enduring it, just be thankful of the little moments that you get and be happy. Try to stay positive, be happy, be goofy, whatever makes you.
No, awesome. And to you, Nathan, what would you say? What would you tell the younger Nathan or younger young lady who's going through, who's been through, or who's starting to go through what you've been through, as far as keep going and never give up?
I would probably say stay positive, because you'll eventually get through it some way, somehow. But I think positivity and finding support for people in your lives is the biggest thing, because no one should go through life alone. And I really think that with your support system, you can do anything that you really, really want, and you really have the dreams to do.
Okay. No, great. Like I said, great answer. So thank you so much. So definitely give you both a round of applause. That was awesome. Very inspiring. Like I said, a tear almost dropped, maybe a small one, but definitely give yourselves a round of applause. And now this is the exciting part. We want to bring both Nathan, we want to bring everyone on the screen. And I would like you all to engage with one another. Maybe I would like Nathan, you to ask Bryce a question, maybe about what it's like to be a college student, or what it's like to not be going through a health issue. And Bryce, find a question for Nathan, maybe about what it's like to be a young person going through that issue. Basically just educate one another. Maybe just have some small dialogue. And I would like the same with Mr. Anthony and Carissa. If y'all can just maybe, some questions that y'all have. So we'll start with Nathan and Anthony. Or not Nathan and, I got an old man's memory. Who did I say? Nathan and Bryce. So you can start, Nathan. Maybe ask Bryce a question, and Bryce, you can ask Nathan a question.
Well, I probably have to ask, since I don't really know that many people in college. Like, how is it spreading out your free time and what you want to do, and like just living your life, and also taking care of yourself?
So it's to start from the beginning. I would say first and foremost, coming into college, my mindset was just, especially to be on campus and with COVID happening and everything, I was just embracing the moment. I was just excited to have this college experience, to be able to interact with different people. Man, I mean, when I was on campus at the University of Cincinnati, I was meeting somebody new every day. And it's great just because you just get to network and you get to just meet different people. You get to make new friendships, new connections. And that was the most exciting part about it. And then transitioning into, a little bit of adulthood as well, where, okay, I don't know what happened, but where you find out that it's basically kind of a adapt or die situation where, it's big boy business now, it's money involved. It's not, public high school where you can kind of go in there and just kind of, for lack of better words, just half-ass it. You got to really put in the hours, really put in the grind to get the grades that you want to get, and then also get the degree that you want to get, especially with something that you're passionate about. So I would just say it's a blessing, man. I mean, it was wonderful, the brief year and a half that I got on campus. And it really just, it was a learning experience. It was a learning experience and an adulting experience. Having to find, my meals for myself, where once again, worrying about nutrition, where, I mean, the dining halls were cool, for the first maybe 2 or 3 months. But then it got really repetitive, and I was like, man, I gotta cook for myself, or I gotta find something else to eat, just because we're kind of cooking the same thing. It's kind of like school lunch, where it's like, I mean, at least my school wasn't the best, in terms of school lunch, but it was exciting, man, to say the least, man. It was a great experience. Still is.
No, great. And I'm not sure if you heard that part, but yeah, ask Nathan a question about maybe what it's like to be in issues.
So I guess to kind of start from the beginning, where, your transplant was when you were 2 years old, if I'm not mistaken, right? When you were young. So, because do you have any like recollection, any memory? I mean, you were really, really young. So basically my question is, transitioning into that point where, you have memory and awareness of what's going on, how does it kind of hear to be like, wow, I had a unique experience with, surgery and just a journey. So how was that just in general for you? I mean, did it, I heard you also say something about, you feeling a little bit like you were different. I mean, we're all human, everybody goes through different experiences, but we're all human, we all have our challenges. We all have our journeys and our process. So how has that been for you, just kind of transitioning from that kind of early life experience to now where you're at?
I think at like earlier in my life, I kind of saw, like, I don't really remember like the pre-surgery and stuff, but I think in the beginning when I started having to go to like transplant clinic and doctors, because it wasn't just my kidneys, it was basically everything. I had something wrong with it when I was born. So I mean, at the beginning, earlier in my life, I was kind of on this like, why am I so different? Why can't I, play tackle football? Why can't I do that? This, and then I think it kind of hit me middle schoolish, where I was like, why do I care that I'm so different? Why can't I just find similarities with people? And I can't go back. I can't reverse it. So why not just look forward and build upon who I am? So I mean, I know that there's stuff I can't do. I know that there's differences that I have that happen to me, but I mean, I just roll with the punches and I live life because a lot of people have it worse and stuff, and I'm just thankful to have a kidney transplant. I know there's hundreds of thousands of people on the waiting list, waiting for a kidney transplant, and I just don't see the point of just sitting and wanting stuff back that I can't have, or wanting to reverse the cards that I've been dealt with. So I just roll on, keep moving, because there's nothing I can do. And even when it gets tough, surgeries, I had a biopsy 2 years ago. I just really, I was like, it is what it is. I'm gonna get through it. I will get through it. I have support, and I am who I am because of what has happened to me.
Awesome. And I have one more brief question for y'all to ask one another. Just give Nathan, if you can give Bryce just a brief words of encouragement, never give up, or what would you say? Like maybe, yeah, I don't want to put it. What would you say? Just give him an inspiring, some inspiration in closing.
If I can say one thing, just
Sure,
not to interrupt the conversation, but I just want to say that's an awesome mindset to have, man. That's truly a blessing. That warms my heart, even as a 20-year-old, pretty much the same age as you. Just hearing that, man, that you carry it so well, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, for what I would say to you is, I mean, I know I've had my sister graduate college this year. She's had some stressful parts of graduation, some other stuff. I mean, just enjoy the ride, and keep on doing what you're doing, and keep on grinding for the goal at the end of the tunnel. Because nothing's too impossible if you really put your mind to it. And I think you're a strong-minded person, so I think you can do whatever you want to do as long as you just keep on pushing forward.
And there you have it, the first part of our Why Not Connect peer-to-peer panel. You both were amazing. Like I said, pretend to be clapped. I see everybody. Pretend like y'all clapping. But I know y'all on mute. But thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you so much, Bryce. Same thing with Anthony and Carissa. Like, yeah,
Okay, so what is it like to be like doing the sports that you do? One, what sports do you play, and like how does that impact your schedule versus how do you balance that with like schoolwork and all that other stuff?
So I do swim and I do cheer for my school. So with cheer, it's a really high like intensity compact sport. And with our school personally, we're a competition team. So we have competition practices. We do really hard conditioning. And then with swim, it's kind of more relaxed because we aren't necessarily like the best in our league, but we have some pretty good people. It's hard to balance like schoolwork and everything because you have the stress of the sports, and then you get tired and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But you just have to keep doing it because like grades impact if you can play or not. So it's kind of just if I don't do this, I can't do this type of mentality that I have to juggle with all the time.
Awesome. And I actually asked Carissa if you can ask Anthony a question about what it's like to be a person living with chronic illness, a student living with chronic illness.
I would have to ask, what's the hardest thing you had to mentally overcome, but you like found strength in at the end type of thing?
What I mentally had to overcome was the fact of majorly just my scars, moreover, and just I would have to do like medical stuff while in school, and so people would constantly be looking at me, but I would be but what I slowly found strength in all those stuff is because I was like, well, I'm doing something that benefits my health, so I don't go revert back to anything, and people eventually see like, oh, well, he's handling it well. It seems like he's happy. So I impact people by the way I act about how I go through my situation. So that's basically how I find strength in it.
Thank you. And in closing, Anthony, what words of encouragement? Just give Carissa some words of encouragement, some parting words of encouragement, and vice versa, Carissa to Anthony, please.
So my words of encouragement would be, well, with sports and academics, is that just kind of just enjoy it. Like, I know it's hard to juggle a lot because I juggle a lot too, and I did some sports in high school, but it's just enjoy it. I know that it can be rough sometimes when you're juggling two sports, but it's just have fun. Make sure you talk to people. Try to branch out a little bit and get to know people, and you'll learn from them, and they'll learn from you, and you'll help each other out. So that's basically what I got to say. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I wanted to say that I just think you have a beautiful personality. You're a beautiful person, and I really admire that, how positive you take care of everything. And I just admire just like how humbled and just you as a person, how you deal with everything. I think it's beautiful how you do it.
Thank you.
And there you have it. And like I said, I so appreciate all of you all for participating. You all definitely brought a dream of ours to fruition, and whew, I won't need a heart transplant because it did work. So thank you all. You all were inspiring. You all truly touched my heart and touched my life. And we got a special surprise. You know, we're all about brightening a child's day, right? And we're all about, I said we're gonna be sprinkling a little surprises in, right? So Tafaro, Philip, come on the screen with me. You all know what I'm about to do. It brings me the utmost honor on behalf of the Why Not Foundation to present Mr. Anthony McFay with this year's YOHA Why Not Offer Hope and Assistance Scholarship Fund. We'll be giving you $500 to help you do whatever you want to get ready for the school year, spent on books or supplies, or to make sure you're whatever you want to do, make sure you're looking neat for classes, so or $300, it's $500. I'm throwing the money in, so $500. So $500 scholarship for you, buddy. Like I said, what would you like to say to the people? What would you like to say to everybody out there?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without the people around me, like Tafaro, who I talk to every day or most of the time, or most of the time, when he tells me to change my diet, and just the people around me. I wouldn't have gotten here without the people around me that have brought me up and taught me things that I wouldn't have learned by myself. So yeah, it's because of everyone around me that I thank you.
Tafaro Phillips, ask him.
Anthony, I just want to say, Anthony, you're a great kid. I've been knowing you since you was knee high to a grasshopper at camps and the transplant camps and things like that. And you always been special to my heart. And we couldn't give it to a better kid, man. So we appreciate you, and you enjoy it, man. You have a good time and you enjoy it.
Definitely. And Philip.
Definitely, Anthony, you deserve it. When we did our last symposium, Anthony was one of the first ones to say yes when we asked him to do that symposium without hesitation. And, that wouldn't have been able to be done without somebody like him jumping in there and to be able to just say, hey, why not? Why not me? Why not just, go in here and do this and give the people some encouragement, some words and things like that. So we appreciate you. And we definitely hope, that this can help you further your education in some kind of way, like you said, with this books, supplies, whatever the case may be. So enjoy, congratulations, and thank you.
And no one who participated is leaving empty-handed. We love brightening days, so everyone's days, especially the youth. So Carissa, Bryce, Nathan, please send us your address, and we're gonna hook you all up as well, because like I said, this is what it's all about. And like I said, we so deeply appreciate you all. And yeah, why not have a great day? And please send us your addresses. We got you. With that being said, Tafaro, please take it over.
Oh man, Eddie, I don't think that could have went any better, Eddie. You did a great job. You manifested some wonderful stuff right there, man. The kids came through; they did wonderful. I learned. It was heartfelt. It was great, man. I'm just thrilled, man. I love the peer-to-peer, and hopefully, Eddie, we can make that, expand on that and make it better and better, man. So you always come up with some great ideas, man. Keep on keeping that vision for Why Not, brother. I appreciate that. All right, coming up, we have the modern era of disease and prevention. And this panel right here will be with Philip Jones and Jim Myers. I'm sorry, we call him Uncle Jim. And they will be hosting this panel. They will be talking to dermatologist Fiona Shaw, nephrologist Ken Sutta, and nephrologist Ken Sutta, and nutritionist I messed up the name.
Pariah
Pasani. Yeah, thank you. I apologize, Pariah. And I've met you before. I practiced the name, and I still mess it up. So forgive me for that.
Hey, but, it's all good. It's all good, DeFaro. Nobody perfect. I messed up the first time I said it too, so we all straight.
Well, I just don't like messing up because people mess up my name, so I try to keep it, try to be on people's names. So take it away, Jim. Take it away, Phil.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Mr. DeFaro. Like I said, my name is Philip Jones. My co-leader is Mr. Jim Myers, somebody that's connected to us and Why Not very deeply. We appreciate Jim for joining us today. Like you said, we have a dermatologist, Fiona Shaw from Emory, Ken Sutta from Stanford, and Pariah Pasani from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. So if you can, in that order, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll say the name in order again. So Fiona, you're first. If you can just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Fiona Shaw. I'm about to finish my training in dermatology at Emory in Atlanta. Edward Drake invited me to participate in this panel, which is great. I'm going to speak about skin cancer in after organ transplant. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Ken Sutta from Stanford. Same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm a pediatric nephrologist. So that means I'm a pediatrician who takes care of kids with all different kinds of kidney disease, including transplants. I actually went to medical school at Emory, so I'm quite familiar with Atlanta as well. And that's actually where I know Edward. We were counselors at a summer camp for kids with transplants together. I'm also a kidney transplant recipient myself, now on my second transplant, about 2 years out from my most recent one. Looking forward to being a part of this panel.
Thank you. Mrs. Dr. Sutta was actually a part of our first symposium this year. He did a wonderful job, and we had to bring him back. So thank you very much. Our next is our nutritionist, Pariah Pasani. Same thing for you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me back. I have been at Cedars-Sinai for 21 years, and most of that has been with the pediatric nephrology team. And we do all the different kidney diseases and pre and post transplant. We also see patients with that are on peritoneal dialysis mostly. So I cover all the spectrum of the nutrition considerations for kidney diseases. And I'm happy to share some of my knowledge with you all today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's another one we couldn't stop talking about after our first symposium as well, with all the great information that she was able to give us in our first symposium. Thank you again for joining us today. Mr. Myers, you have the first question. Go ahead.
Okay, just want to introduce myself. My name is Jim Myers. I'm from Hammond, Indiana. I'm 67 years old. I'm a 42-year polycystic kidney disease patient. I was diagnosed at the age of 25, on dialysis at 58, and had a kidney transplant at the age of 62. Just celebrated my 5th-year kidney anniversary. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to hear what our doctors have to say today. First question for Dr. Shaw. What are the leading causes of skin cancer, and how can some of these causes be prevented?
So in general, one of the leading causes of skin cancer is UV radiation. So that's from the sun. Normally your body, your immune system is working against the sun, so to speak, and trying to prevent skin cancers from appearing. Unfortunately, as many people on this panel know, when you have an organ transplant, you have to take medicines to decrease your immune system so you don't reject the organ. Because of that, patients of all skin colors and tones develop skin cancer, unfortunately, after the transplant. So we frequently see patients in our clinics, and we do what we call a total body skin exam, where we check head to toe and see if we think anything might be a skin cancer. And I guess to answer your question, really the sun is probably the biggest cause of skin cancer in everyone, including the organ transplant population. So that's kind of what we're looking at and dealing with.
Okay, back to Phil.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shaw, for that. My question is for Dr. Sutha, which would be, can you reverse kidney disease, and what are some of the ways to reverse kidney disease?
I would say it depends. In general, if there's something that's damaging the kidney in the short term, for example, you have a problem with the kidney because of as a result of an infection or from exposure to some sort of medication, once you remove that thing that's harming the kidney, the kidney function can get better oftentimes. However, with many kidney diseases that affect children, they can be things that are might be things that they were born with, or structural problems with the kidney. In that case, it can be difficult to reverse the kidney damage that's happened already. You're basically born with all of the amount of functioning parts of the kidney that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Luckily, most people are born with way more kidney than they actually need. But when you have kidney disease, once some of that gets damaged, you progressively lose that kidney function that you have. What we try and do instead is try to prevent other things from damaging the kidney. So other things to add on top of any less amount of kidney function that you might have. So to do that, we try to make sure that we avoid medications that can be harmful to the kidney. We try to make sure that you avoid infections like urinary tract infections that can also damage the kidney too. And there are other measures that we can take to try to slow down the deterioration of kidney function. For example, trying to reduce stress that the kidney sees. We can do that by certain kinds of medications, depending on what's causing the kidney disease, and also by some dietary changes that you can make, making sure that you're maintaining a healthy weight, making sure that you're exercising, and eating more vegetables than you're eating meat. And we might be able to get into that a little bit later too. But in general, the best approach is to try to preserve the kidney function that you have. Hopefully, we're still working on ways that we might be able to do what you're asking about, reverse kidney damage and regrow kidney, but we're not quite there yet.
So just to kind of touch on something that you said, so I had was diagnosed with kidney disease at the age of 4 years old, and I got it from post-strep. Is that something that can be reversed if caught in enough time, or is that just something that's like, you know, once it starts, it's kind of a downhill battle from there?
Yeah, it can depend. Usually with things like that, so that post-strep falls into the category of immune kind of kidney diseases. So that means your immune system, which is normally meant to help fight off infections and other things like that, is for some reason causing damage to your kidney. Sometimes it can get better on its own without any kind of treatment. Sometimes we have to give some kinds of medications that help to suppress your immune system to prevent your immune system from causing more damage. If we're able to do that and we're able to stop that damage that happens in the short term, that prevents it from going on into long-term damage. And again, it depends from person to person and from disease to disease, whether or not it will go from that short-term damage to the long-term damage. But our goal is to try to catch any kind of damage early so that we can stop it from becoming long-term damage, because we can't always predict who is going to have that problem.
Thank you. Jim, you have the next question.
Yes, sir. For our nutritionist, and I'm spending the night with diet tonight with Dr. Schusterman and Dr. Josie at 7 o'clock. What would you recommend as a healthy breakfast, lunch, and dinner for kidney patients?
So I'm probably not, I'm going to give you some examples of some foods and go into like some categories. Like, for example, for breakfast, I recommend doing either like a whole grain cereal. It could be a hot cereal, cold, or a whole wheat toast or English muffin. So some kind of whole grain starch along with some fruit, whatever fruit you like. There's really no restriction on any fruits except for, there are some, grapefruit, because of the immunosuppressive medications having the side effects of what enzyme is in the grapefruit. Also pomegranate and pomegranate juice is another fruit to avoid because of the transplant medication interactions. So other than those fruits, and also, actually, no, there's another one. There's a jam that I recently figured out that we would say, try to avoid Seville oranges, and people are like, what kind of oranges are those? They're a really sour orange that is typically used to make orange marmalade with. So if you like to have jam on your toast, then I would say pretty much any jam is okay except for that one. Has the same kind of side effect that the grapefruit and the pomegranate does. So, so some kind of fruit, and also some kind of calcium-rich either milk or yogurt. It doesn't need to be cow's milk based. I think with the times we've come to see some more plant-based kind of food sources. So if you're not one to drink regular cow's milk, or if you have problems tolerating it, there's always oat milk or coconut milk or soy milk. There are those kinds of choices as well. It's just something that's got calcium in it to help keep your bones strong. So that would be breakfast, and then lunch, and some kind of either poultry, fish, ideally, or plant-based protein. We have a lot of varieties of those these days as well, different brands that you'll find on the market. Plus, they're also for the magnesium-rich foods, nut butters or seed butters, or just having some nuts and seeds as part of your meal would be a good place to get your protein. And then some kind of whole grain pasta or brown rice, or if you want to have a sandwich, there's the whole wheat bread, and some kind of non-starchy vegetable or side salad maybe to have along with your meal. And the same thing goes for dinner. You could have something similar like that to lunch. And making sure you have lots of water to drink throughout the day with your meals, in between your meals. Don't forget the water.
Okay, thank you. Phil, back to you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Our next question is for Dr. Shaw, which is, what are the first signs of skin cancer and how should you proceed if you see these signs?
Okay, so this is something that dermatologists kind of live by, which is a change in a mole is really the thing we're looking for. So that could be in color, in shape, in size, in the border of the mole. And when we bring you in and take a look from head to toe, one thing we will always say is anything that has changed recently, because that is probably one of the biggest predictors of something being a skin cancer. You know, we're all born with moles. We all develop moles throughout our life. But a mole that's changing is something we need to take a look at. And the faster it's changing, the more concerned we are. Obviously, depending on your skin color, it can be harder or easier to see a change in color. You know, if you have a dark mole and your baseline skin color is a bit darker, you might not see the change in the color as clearly, but you could see this change in the size, the change in the shape. So that's really what we're looking for and what we encourage all our patients to look for between their visits with us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for that information. I know for a fact that it's some stuff that there that nobody would have thought of. You know, the changing of their moles can, you know, tell them if they're having, you know, or could have an issue with skin cancer in the future. So thank you very much. Jim, back to you.
Yeah, Dr. Sutha, how you been, Doc? How many
Great to see
times
you.
have you seen people with kidney disease and not escalate to dialysis or a transplant?
Yeah, I'd actually say the majority of the patients that I see have kidney disease that doesn't escalate to dialysis or transplant. As I mentioned in the first, during the first question, oftentimes we can see kidney damage or problems with the kidney after some sort of short-term something that's attacking the kidney, whether it's the immune system or medications or infection. But once you remove those things, the kidney function can go back to normal. And then if that's the case, as long as there's not new things that are attacking the kidney function will stay the same and they won't progress to dialysis or transplant. There can also be many other kinds of problems with the kidney, like just blood in the urine or protein in the urine or high blood pressure that if well controlled, won't necessarily lead to the need for dialysis or transplant. In terms of kids in particular, so when they're born with some sort of developmental problem with their kidney, like their kidney didn't develop properly or smaller than it was meant to be, oftentimes we see problems and a higher chance of progressing to kidney disease and dialysis and transplant when they're growing very fast. So particularly when they're like going into school age, or maybe when they're adolescents and their body's growing a lot. Because we find that if there was some prior damage to the kidney, their kidney isn't able to grow and keep up with the growth of the rest of the body. And so that can often be a time that we have to keep a close eye on our patients to make sure that that everything is okay and that their kidneys are doing well. But thankfully, in children, kidney disease in the general population isn't super common. In adults, we worry a lot more about things like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other things that can be damaging to the kidney. And again, trying to make sure to control those things to prevent them from causing more damage is the way to prevent people's kidney disease from progressing to dialysis and transplant.
Thank you, Doctor. Back to you, Phil.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you very much, Dr. Sutha, for that information. My next question is for Ms. Federsani, which is, what are some of the ways you would recommend that our kids eat healthier?
So I would recommend to maybe go shopping together as a family, or, for the child to go with their parent to have a shopping list first, and then go to the store together, and let the kids choose fruits and veggies from the produce section. So that way, if there's something new that they haven't tried, or something looks good that they haven't had for a while, to at least promote having some healthy fruits and vegetables in their diet. So that would be one way I would recommend. Another would be to help make the meals and snacks together. So sometimes when they're more invested in something they're going to eat that's healthy, if they're helping out to make it in the kitchen. So that would be another way. And also just trying to keep junk food out of the house, like soda, chips, candy, cookies, to have those kinds of foods out of the house in the first place, so that the kids aren't tempted to have something that we don't want them to have too much of. Make it more like a treat.
Let me jump in and ask you, like, what happens when we have kids already that their taste is, when you try to introduce them to the fruits and the vegetables, but they already have that palate that wants to eat that sugar, and they like that butter, and they like that stuff. How do we change that? Because a lot of kids are like, I don't want that. They're so used to having that sugar and things like that.
So are you meaning like in general, whether it's before or after transplant, or
just in general, like,
transplant?
yeah, just in general. I mean, I've seen kids, they like the sugary taste all the time, that when you say eat this fruit, they're like, ugh. And I mean, I eat peaches and stuff like that, and I think they're super, super sweet.
Right.
Just how do we change the palate? Like, because when I eat something super, super sugary, I'll be like, ugh, like soda pop. It just tastes like pure sugar to me. But
Right. So typically, in general, with anyone, whether you're a child or an adult, it takes about 30 days to try to lose a habit, or have your taste buds adapt to a new flavor. So if you're willing to try it, and maybe trying it as a family, if you're used to eating a lot of processed foods and salty foods, and then you go to the nephrology team and the dietitian tells you, oh, you need to go on a low sodium diet, and so you basically have to cut out all the bacon and the hot dogs and the chips and things that are high in salt. Stay away from the fast food. So when we're trying to do the counseling and make it like, it's going to take some getting used to. It's you can't really do it cold turkey necessarily, but just maybe making some slight changes, putting less seasoning, less salty seasoning, substitute with other flavors, and eventually, hopefully, they'll get used to that. Putting more fruits and vegetables in their diet, maybe mixing it into other foods, or having it in combination with like doing like if you're doing vegetables dipped in peanut butter, or hummus or something like that, so that it's like, oh, carrots, ew, or the vegetables, I don't want to eat them, but if they're made in a fun way, or accompanied with something else that they're willing to have, maybe it won't be so hard to accept.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Question?
Oh yeah, can I add something?
Sure.
Yeah. As a pediatrician, for sure, this is something we deal with a lot with our patients, and it has to really be a family effort. Like the whole family has to buy into it. So if mom and dad and siblings are able to eat all these things that the kid with kidney disease can't eat, it's going to be extra hard for that one kid to be able to do it. And so being able to attack it all together as a team, so that you can be setting a good example and showing how to do this together is really the way to do it. And I know Edward knows this. When we went to summer camp, even if we didn't have to follow the renal diet, the strict dialysis diet that our kids had to follow when we were at home, we still had to follow the same diet while we were at camp, so that we were setting an example and not having those foods around that those kids weren't able to eat. And then from the patient side, from the patient perspective, as Ms. Petrosani mentioned, it's really hard to go cold turkey. So allowing yourself grace to have some, like a cheat day here and there, or like a little small snack. Maybe you're not supposed to be eating chocolate, but you have like one small tiny piece of chocolate every once in a while, as opposed to saying, I'm never gonna look at chocolate ever again. I think is a more sustainable way to make the change.
Thank you for that, Dr. Thank you.
To kind of touch on something that you mentioned earlier about the fruit. So I know that a lot of nutritionists and doctors say, have us stay away from foods that have shelf life. So let's say in the instance of a disaster, we just so happen to run into COVID again or whatever, and we have to deal with these grocery situations that we have to deal with in the beginning. What are ways around being able to of having to basically extract that salt from foods that are in like shelf life? So I know that some say pouring the juices out and rinsing them, things like that, and then you kind of making them in water or whatever. So are there other ways outside of those where you can get around those things of like I say, in case we end up in some kind of disaster or anything where we may not have no choice but to eat those those foods that have shelf life? Are there ways around getting the salt taken out of those things and stuff like that for it to be good for us to eat?
Sure. That's a good point. I know it's unrealistic for me sometimes to tell a family, oh, you're eating like instant noodles as a snack or as your meal. Well, if I can't get you to stop eating those completely, and it's something that you go to frequently, at least, maybe use half of the seasoning packet instead of the whole thing, or share the meal with your siblings, so it's not like you're eating a whole package of instant noodles with all the seasoning just by yourself. In terms of preserved like fruits, they're all those, they have the fruit cups now that are in the plastic containers. Those are a healthy alternative if you can't go to the store and you need to stock up on preserved foods. So there's like the natural preservatives of like citric acid in the fruit cups, for example, or if you're doing a deli meat, they have the ones that are nitrate free where there's not the phosphate additives to it, and so it's a healthier choice. And if you're doing like a deli meat like that, then you could look at the labels and find the ones that have less sodium in them. So it's not that you're completely cutting out those foods that you like and trying to just make healthier choices, unsalted or low sodium chips or pretzels or nuts. Nuts have a good shelf life. So if again, I'm all about the the nuts and seeds lately with having to find magnesium rich foods after transplant, to advise the families to try to keep in stock, so it makes for a good snack and it's easy to take to school, when they're going back to school, to have something to get a good source of healthy protein from.
Thank you. Jim, next question is yours.
All right, back to our skin doctor. Doc, if Skin cancer progresses to the point where part of it has to be removed. What does a patient's recovery consist of?
Well, it's the two-step process. We don't remove anything without knowing it's a skin cancer. So the biopsy process, which would be different for a little kid versus an adult. For adults, which basically the same thing we do with little kids, but it's a bit easier in adults, is we numb the area, we take a little sample, and we send it to our friendly local pathologist who tells us if it's anything that needs to be removed. If it does have to be removed, depending on where it is, we prefer to do a special type of surgery called Mohs surgery for transplant patients because of the immune suppression. You go in and they take layers. All of this is under local anesthesia. So the area is numbed and just remove layer by layer until we get the entire skin cancer off. For some patients who are older or it's in an area that is not cosmetically sensitive, we just remove the area around the original skin cancer. These are not, for the most part, huge skin cancers. Everything in dermatology is pretty small. We're usually able to catch it pretty early. In terms of recovery, we just have patients cover the area with a bandage for a week or two. And the stitches, if we do stitches, has to be removed. It's very location dependent. So, if it's behind your shoulder, we probably aren't going to want you to be weightlifting for the next couple weeks. But a lot of areas, people, they drive themselves home, they do their daily activities. It's not something they're thinking about day to day right after the procedure. So pretty easy experience compared to what most people have been through for the organ transplant.
Dr. Shaw, do they have to take, like, if you're a transplant recipient like myself, do you have to take any like antibiotics before you get the surgery if you did have a skin cancer?
So usually we don't do any antibiotics because the skin cancers, for the most part, are not particularly deep. The risk of infection is just not high enough to warrant an antibiotic. Obviously, if a patient has a history of infections, particularly skin infections, on a case-by-case basis, we might do that, but we generally do not stop any medications. We don't kind of change anything, and we don't put you to sleep. So it's kind of in and out to the extent that things can be like that.
One more question I have for you is, can you tell the importance for everybody to use sunscreen? I mean, sometimes, in the Black community, we see people who feel like they don't have to use sunscreen, and I tell them you really have to use sunscreen, especially transplant recipients. So just elaborate.
Right. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but obviously people with darker skin types, it's not something they've grown up with, the idea of sun protection. I'm personally a big advocate of sun protective clothing, of hats, things that you almost don't need to think about. You go out, you put the shirt on, you're done. But yeah, the risk of skin cancer, regardless of your skin type after an organ transplant, is anywhere from 10 to 100 times higher than it was before. And so that is a lot of counseling we do for patients who come in with a darker skin type. It's not something they've ever heard from their family members. It's not something they thought about before. And it's really important to put on that sunscreen, reapply every 2 hours. Data has shown that the higher the SPF, so even above up to 100, is more protective overall than something like an SPF 30. And to make sure it doesn't wash off, to make sure you get all the areas that you need that are going to be in the sun, to avoid kind of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So little things really make a huge difference when your body can't fight those minuscule skin cancers that we're all getting day to day just from being outside in the sun.
Thank you.
Back to you, Phil.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for all of that information. Thank you for the question, Jafar. I appreciate that. My next question is for Dr. Sutha. how can our other organs be affected by kidney disease?
Yes, really great questions. The kidneys, they affect everything. They're so hardworking, and they're working behind the scenes for all kinds of things through all different parts of the body, and that's part of why I love them. Most people don't know that your lungs, when you're a baby, when you're developing, your lungs won't develop if your kidneys aren't working. So for example, babies that are born without functioning kidneys, their lungs, they have severe problems with their lungs developing. As you get older, the kidneys, they have important role in regulating and the level of blood cells in your blood. So the cells that bring oxygen to all of your tissues. When your kidneys aren't working, you're not able to make those cells. Also, the kidneys have an important role in maintaining the healthy bones. That involves both the regulation of calcium and phosphorus that you're getting in your diet, but also sending signals to the bones, telling them to build up and build strong. Most of these things you don't really notice until the kidneys are really severely damaged and aren't working very well. And that just, I think, is an indicator of how well the kidneys are at compensating and kind of making up for problems and trying to keep everything as in balance as possible. When the kidneys are really not working as well, you can have problems with your heart because you can get abnormal levels of chemicals and what are called electrolytes or salts in your blood. That can impact the way that your heart is able to pump and function. That also can impact the way that nerves work and other things like that. And when the kidneys are really not working too, it can also impact your gut, and it can make you feel like you're going to throw up all the time, and that can really impact your nutrition and your ability to get the appropriate nutrients that you need to be healthy. So really, it's all over the place.
Doctor, why do we see like a lot of times when people have the challenges with kidney failure, the nausea and not an appetite at all? I remember being on dialysis and I was nausea and no appetite sometimes. And why do those things happen?
Yeah, so one of the main functions of the kidney is to remove waste products or from like things that you eat or things that that are broken down by bacteria that are in your gut. And when the kidneys are really not working very well, those waste products tend to build up in your body, and that can be indicated by blood tests, by the creatinine or the number called the BUN being higher than normal. Those we think are not actually the chemicals in the blood that make you feel that way, but they're the easiest ones to measure. And so when those are high, that also probably means that these other chemicals, particularly also things like acids in your blood, are off balance and are causing you to feel that way.
Thank you.
Jim, you have the next question.
For our nutritionist, is there a preferred weight for a transplant recipient or donor? And if so, what would that be?
So with regard to a transplant recipient, we usually have a weight criteria of 10 kilograms or 22 pounds to be the minimum weight to be the right, size for receiving a transplant. So in terms of a preferred weight, we'd like ideally for it to be above 10 kilograms in children that are being worked up for a transplant. In terms of like a more ideal weight, whether it's for a transplant recipient or for a donor, we tend to look at BMI for ages 2 and up. We look at the growth chart for the BMI percentiles for ages 2 to 20 based on the height and the weight. There's that body mass index number that we look at the growth charts for boys and for girls. It's a different chart, but we have the electronic medical record. So we have a growth chart that plots the percentiles automatically. So a preferred weight, regardless of what your age is or what your height is it's more important to look at that BMI percentile, and ideally we want it to be somewhere between the 5th percentile and 85th percentile is considered the normal range. So you're considered underweight if you're below the 5th and overweight if you're above the 85th percentile. For adults, it's also good to look at the BMI to find your preferred weight range, and ideally between 18.5 to 25 is the ideal BMI range. So if you were wanting to calculate that, how do I know what my BMI is? If, for example, I'm 5 feet tall and I weigh 110 pounds, that's equivalent to 50 kilograms, and I calculated the 1.52 meters. So if you do the weight in kilograms over the height in meters squared, for this example, a 50 kilogram person that's 5 feet tall has a BMI of 21.5. So that falls in that range of 18.5 to 25. So that would be a good weight for how tall you are, regardless of if you're a recipient or a donor.
Thank you. That's a great one. And this question right here is for Dr. Sutta and Pariah. Why do we see when, like, I had a friend who wanted to donate a kidney to another friend, and they told the donor that she had to lose weight, and I mean, they wanted her to lose weight, and why is that?
Yeah, so the main thing is that they are looking out for the health of the donor, because we want to make sure that the donor is healthy as possible, so that after they have the surgery, that they don't have problems with their health, with their kidney, and that they're able to live a long and healthy life after being a living donor and donating that kidney. If the donor is overweight, that can mean that they are at risk for developing things like high blood pressure, diabetes, and other things that can put stress on that one remaining kidney that they might have left. And that would put them at risk for having kidney disease down the line, especially after having a kidney removed. And so as doctors, our main goal is to do no harm. And so we don't want to have someone donate a kidney to save somebody else, but then have to end up with kidney disease themselves because they've gone through this and they weren't as healthy as possible. So even though going through these hoops and having potential donors disqualified can be a downer, it's for the best interest of the donor to make sure that they can continue to live a long and healthy life.
Thank you. And Pariah, I mean, if you wanted to chime in on that also, that was for both you guys.
Sure. No, I completely agree. We actually have a whole area that we have of donors that get nutrition counseling. Also, we have dietitians specifically to be available to counsel donors on, eating healthier and weight loss, and what the recommended diet is after they now have a solitary kidney, like we say, like having the one kidney that we need to preserve and keep them healthy. It's pretty similar, to just having a healthy diet as an adult of staying balanced with your grains and fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and trying to, limit processed foods and having excessive amounts of protein. Don't want to have any kind of diets that would strain the kidney, and that would include having too much protein and too much sodium in their diets. That's what we would try to help counsel them on, to make sure that they're trying to follow that kind of healthy guideline.
Hi, yes, and if I can chime in, I have one quick question, because I know a lot of youth, they're interested in like the various fields that you're in. What would you tell like the various youth who's I would like each of you to answer if they're interested in becoming getting involved in your profession? Or like what words of advice, or what steps do
encouragement?
they take? Yes. You can word it better, Tafaro. I'm sure you can word it better.
I agree with you, Eddie. Though he was basically saying what like if these, because we have a lot of people listening to us right now, and a lot of youth that we see in these camps, love to be doctors like you guys and everything. Even when you see Dr. Sutha, he's a transplant recipient himself. So, what encouragement would you give these kids who look up to you guys also, because they see you guys help also? So we'll start with Pariah. What encouragement would you give?
So, because I had when I was in college, I took a nutrition class. I was still undecided on what I wanted to major in, and then when I just learned about the basics of nutrition, it really just got me interested in wanting to do more. And after I did my training or got my bachelor's degree, we have a program that we'd have to get into that includes an internship. So you learn all different aspects of nutrition in the community setting, in the hospital setting, and even in the food service part of the industry. So then as a dietitian, you can, or someone interested in becoming a dietitian, you can get that experience and help you decide what kind of specialty you want to go into. I was fortunate enough to have to cover pediatrics and do a pediatric elective during my internship, and that really helped me to decide that I want to do something with kids. And so the kidney it's so interesting with all the different kinds of diet guidelines that you need to help follow and counsel on. And so love to watch the patients grow and help them to grow and thrive, and try to keep them steered in the right direction, and even when they're transitioning to adulthood, to try to make sure that they understand going on their own what is important to know how to treat their body right and keep it healthy.
Thank you so much. The same question for you, Dr. Shaw. What encouragement would you give the kids listening to right now to go in your profession or whatever?
I'd say the biggest piece of advice I would give is do what you're passionate about. Whatever career you go into, there will be steps you have to go through, years of training potentially, but as long as you are passionate about that topic, I think it makes it a lot easier, a lot more fun day to day. So I'd say study what you're interested in, whether that's science or something else, and your passion will lead you to what is your calling.
Thank you. That was wonderful. And this question goes out to you, Dr. Sutha. What encouragement would you give kids who wanted to become a nephrologist like yourself?
Yeah, I completely agree with what the advice that Ms. Petrosani and Dr. Shaw mentioned. Definitely finding your passion, because that will shine through, and that's what is going to drive you to continue doing the work for years and years to come. I also think it's extremely important to find role models and find people who look like you or have had experiences like you. And that's definitely something that we in the medical profession are working at trying to strengthen, whether it be finding women medicine, people of color, other Black people, other Asian people, people with chronic kidney disease, with disabilities, other things like that to help you, to show you the way and to give you encouragement that it is possible to do it. And that it's difficult to imagine being something that you can't see. So if finding those role models and seeking them out and learning from them to learn about the unique challenges that they may have faced because of their background and struggles, etc. But that said, I think that the contribution that people with kidney disease, with transplants, etc., and other different kinds of things that they've been through in life, I think that they really bring something valuable to the field of medicine through their own experience and really enrich both the care of their patients and the care that all the people that know them are able to provide. That said, also it is a long road, so make sure you talk to people that have gone through the process, that have kept going, and even those that have chosen to do something else, so that you have a full understanding of what the pros and cons are. But again, like Dr. Shaw mentioned, when you find something that's your passion, that's really what will drive you.
Wonderful, wonderful. No more questions, but I just want to say, where can we reach you at if people want to reach you, or social media? So, do you have a social media, Dr. Sutta?
The best place to reach me on social media is my Twitter. It's the number 4_kidney. I guess I'll try to figure out how to put that in the chat.
Okay.
That's the one that I like, my outward facing social media.
Okay. Dr. Shaw, where can people reach you if kids want to, have a word of encouragement?
Sure. I will put my email in the chat. I do not do a ton on social media, but email is probably the best way.
Okay. Pariah, where would people reach you also?
Same as Dr. Shaw. I prefer to be reached through email. I'm not really professionally on social media, so it would be, I put my email address in the chat box as well.
Okay, thank you. Phil, take it away, man. That was wonderful. Go ahead, Phil.
You're muted, Phil. You're muted.
We're going back to you, Mr. Cook.
Okay. Again, the modern era of disease prevention. That was wonderful. Every time I listen to those guys, I learn something more and more. Learn something about my nutrition that I could take. Learn something about my skin. I gotta, keep on it. My wife be like, every time we go to the beach, and we're in Florida, so we go to the beach quite often, and she doesn't let me hit the sand without having some sunscreen on. So I know how important it is coming from a transplant recipient. And Dr. Sutta telling us great information about kidney disease. So thank you so much, and we appreciate it. That was wonderful. Coming up right now, it'll be a commercial, and then everybody can take a break. Then we'll be back at it with the awareness panel.
I'm telling you, first off and foremost, it's the Why Not Foundation. This is unbelievable. This has been going on for multiple years. This is my multiple times coming to a Why Not Foundation. Secondly, it's at the shoe. Third, most importantly, it's football. Football at any level is unbelievable. You got, flag football, tackle football, touch football. Don't make no difference. Buckeye guys going to be there to support you. The Why Not Foundation is unbelievable. And listen, I talk more, but I got to get in the shoe and see this happen. Peace.
All right, I'm Archie Smith, Edward, Mr. Why Not Drake, Jory Carver here.
Yep, we want to talk a little bit more about Why Not, which stands for Youth Needing Organ and Tissue Transplants. The organization has grown in, 5 years now?
Yeah. 5
years, we've grown from a poster board idea to the horseshoe. We're here now, the 3rd annual Attorney for Causes. We just want to shed a little bit more light on what Why Not is doing and what we plan to do moving forward. And Jory can tell you a little bit more about the Attorney for Causes.
Definitely, as we were talking about the Attorney for Causes, brings together two of Edward's passions. We have football. We also have the Why Not Foundation. Eddie is a recent organ transplant,
kidney recipient
in 2008, so about 4 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long, but definitely within that time he has built up a business, came a long way to the point where we have probably 3,000 or 4,000 people out here today, which is a remarkable accomplishment already. Where did the passion for this come from? What's the inspiration behind it?
The passion just came from, I was diagnosed with end-stage renal disease just before my 21st birthday. I was pursuing my dream of playing college football at Eastern Michigan University. When doing a routine physical, I found out my kidneys had completely shut down, and I was forced to leave college and go home and start dialysis, which I did for 3 years prior to receiving a transplant from a stranger who, when asked, said yes to becoming an organ and tissue donor, so I greatly appreciate that. But during that time of being sick, doing dialysis during those 3 years, I was just like, Lord, why me, why now? Everything that I worked so hard for, both in the classroom and in athletics, had just came to an instant halt. And in the midst of me questioning why not, or why me, the man up above said, "Why not you, son?" Basically, I found out my purpose and my passion on that day. And I like to say he took me from the battlefield, athletic field, college campus, and put me on the battlefield of saving lives. And I remember being over at the OSU Medical Center, just looking out my window and be like, wow, I wonder what it's like to host an event at Ohio State Stadium. And 3,000-4,000 kids participated, so I'm blessed, and great things to come in the future. We plan to duplicate this event at various stadiums across the country. So anybody out there at any universities, any stadiums interested, contact us at www.YNOTTYOU.org and and find out more information.
So what about for just people in general that want to keep in contact, and follow the organization, want to support, like Twitter, Facebook? How can they contact you?
Well, they can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Why Not, spelled MRYNOTT, or you can follow our foundation on Facebook at the Why Not Foundation, YNOTT Foundation, which stands for Youth Needing Organ Tissue Transplant. So, yeah, this is just the beginning, man. We're blessed and a bright future. We got over 10 health organizations in attendance, promoting diabetes, organ donation, Ronald McDonald House, and so on. So be on the lookout for us. A lot of great things in the future. Appreciate these guys, helped us put this on, all my volunteers and everyone. So stay tuned. Visit www.YNOTTYOU.org, YNOTTYOU.org, which is our website to stay updated. Today, I ask you, why not become an organ and tissue donor? Why not? Why not? Why not?
This is the Why Not crew, and all we asking is why not you? Come with the Why Not you? And on this occasion, give one donation, and now you may not receive a standing ovation. Nah, your reward is so much better than that.
Awesome. Okay, that was a great commercial. I remember being at that. That was, dang, we did that 2 years in a row too. That was big, man. That was big. I had a great time too. Moving on. Okay, we are moving on with the Why Not Spread Awareness panel. This panel is hosted by Edward Drake and Jonathan Taylor. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Tafaro. And it was actually 3 years. Don't take away our work. So no, I'm kidding, man. It just reminded us how long we've been around. It's kind of crazy looking back at that video, man. I was young, wasn't losing hair, a little bit of hair, but it's all good. But it's a pleasure. Hey, Jonathan, here, you want to take it over with introductions?
Absolutely. Thanks, Edward. Man, that's a hard act to follow right there. That's an awesome interview, awesome commercial. And that's the first time I've seen that. So it's definitely inspiring to watch that for sure. And I've definitely enjoyed so far listening to all the panelists, and welcome to all the panelists that we're fixing to interview. I want to welcome you guys. And also just a little bit about me. I'm a 1-year kidney transplant recipient. Back in August of 2020, I received my gift of life by way of direct donation, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm originally from. They actually flighted the kidney from Louisville, Kentucky to San Antonio at Methodist Transplant down here in San Antonio area. So I also host a podcast called Hope with Jonathan, based on my near-death experience with kidney disease. I give them a platform to share their story and also advocate for a living donor. But with that being said, I would like to welcome my first panelist, Dr. Kathy Jenkins. If you want to come on and unmute your mic and introduce yourself and welcome yourself to the symposium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Sometimes I have transmission trouble. Good afternoon. I am the founder and president of Cynthia Perry Ray Foundation, whose health and wellness witness to fitness is one of our outreaches in the nonprofit. We're a group of clergy wives. And I used the acronym WTF at first until one of the pastors told me what that meant. So I didn't think just say First Lady say WTF in Los Angeles really would work good. So we put a 2 there. So it's Witness to Fitness with a 2, not a TWO. And that's what we did.
All right, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, my first question for you is, what are the leading causes of breast cancer, and can they be prevented, and how?
Yeah, it's real basic. It's living an unhealthy lifestyle. Stress, poor diet, irregular sleep patterns, late-term pregnancy, smoking. Smoking is really, people think about smoking, they think of lung cancer, emphysema, COPD. But smoking is really bad. But the number one culprit is stress. Got to get rid of that stress.
Absolutely. You know, you hear a lot in the community of cancer, especially breast cancer, that it mainly affects women. On a side note, I wanted to ask about breast cancer in men. How prevalent is breast cancer in men?
Men can get it, but it's rare. And what usually happens with men, they first have to look at your family history. And if you have a family history of breast cancer in your family, regardless if it's a man or a woman, then more checkups and more awareness of doing self-breast exams, just like women, to make sure that there's nothing irregular there, for one. And also to look at your environment and your stress levels too as well. But it's very rare that a man has breast cancer, primarily women.
All right, thank you for that information. Very informative. Edward, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. And welcome, Dr. Jenkins. It's a pleasure to have you. This question is I would like you, Dr. Yvette Jackson, mental health specialist. I would like you just to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, where you're located, and your favorite food or color. Let's just throw something in.
Favorite food or color. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for inviting me. I want to personally thank Philip Jones for asking me to join the panel today. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I work for the state of California. I have worked at many hospitals throughout Southern California, as well as home health and hospice. I also have developed Caregiver Chronicles, which is an 18-module online course for caregivers, where we provide support to those who are providing resources and help to loved ones. And so I want to thank you for allowing me to come today and speak with you all.
Awesome. And what do you enjoy most about?
Oh, you said my favorite color, huh?
Yes, and I'm throwing another question out there. I'm giving you something else.
Okay, go. Okay.
And yeah, your favorite color, and also what do you enjoy most about your profession?
Okay, so my favorite color is purple, lavender. You see the background. But what I enjoy most about the profession is that we are helping people. As a licensed clinical social worker, we are always embracing others. We are empowering others to do the things that they can do to live a normal lifestyle. And so that's the beauty of this business, is that we love on others.
Awesome. Now, are you ready for the real question? See,
I am ready.
All right. See my team, they got to stay on me to keep me on track.
Right.
I make up questions like I do, but what are the drawbacks of people not going to see a therapist, and how can we increase people going to see a therapist?
Okay, so there are many drawbacks to people not seeing a therapist. It ranges far and wide. In 2018, the National Association for the Mentally Ill identified 43.8 million people in the United States who experience mental illness. And so it's important that we provide the services and resource to those who need the services. This allows them to have an outlet to verbalize their thoughts. The clinical concerns are not addressed by the therapist. It does not allow individuals to receive encouragement, support, and empower them to live a lifestyle that is appropriate for their diagnosis, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, or psychological. It also disallows them to receive unconditional, non-judgmental, mutually exclusive intervention. And it does not allow one to have a safe haven for them to feel a sense of security to open up and talk about their issues. We all have issues that come along in our life based on our experiences, but it's important to have a safe haven that we can go to and share that information. Not having a therapist or not seeing a therapist doesn't allow one to release their stress, unload their stressors, doesn't allow them to establish a trusting relationship with others, and it does not allow them to provide to receive the tools for healing or encouragement to promote an autonomy. And it does not allow them to have a listening ear to share their story or share their stressors with. With regard to how can we increase people going to see a therapist, we have to normalize mental health. We have to remove the stigma. There's a stigma with mental health. And when we talk about the stigma, it carries a fear with it because many people don't understand it. We have to normalize it in the home, in the church, in the schools, in community organizations, in every environment that our people frequent. We have to educate people on what therapy means. We have to help others understand the mental illness. It's normal. It's just as normal as having high blood pressure. It's just as normal as having diabetes. It's just as normal as having end-stage renal disease. But the important thing is that we have it so that others will be able to embrace it and talk about it and feel a sense of security. So it's important that we just kind of normalize the process for individuals, and that will allow them to come forward and say, I have a problem, because I don't want to go and tell nobody that I have a mental illness. That's what many people say. I don't want to go tell nobody that I'm depressed. We keep it in, we internalize it. And so it's important that we share that information and we feel comfortable in doing so.
Terrific. Very, very informative information. Back to you, Jonathan.
All right, thank you, Edward, and thank you, Dr. Jackson. Very informative information.
Quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, you're welcome. We'd like to welcome our next panelist, Kina Hardy. If you would unmute, and I like what Edward did. We'd like for you to just, introduce yourself and tell us something interesting about yourself.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I actually go by Watson now, but I haven't changed this account name, so I just noticed it. My name is Kina Watson. I'm the owner and founder of Marche Butter Co. I make artisan jewelry. Fun fact about me, I make jewelry for mindfulness. I have 3 children, one of which has special needs. And I just find that just practicing the art of mindfulness is really key to keeping me balanced emotionally and spiritually. So, but thanks for having me.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. I'd like to see some of your jewelry. Where could we find that if we were interested in finding where your jewelry's at?
I am on Facebook at Marche, MARSHEA Butter Co. on Facebook. On Instagram, I am Marche Butter Co. _.
Okay, awesome. Your question is, give us a definition of mindfulness and how can it help if we apply it to our life?
So the official definition of mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And for me, I think in today's day, we need to be conscious or aware of the present moment. We have a lot of distraction these days, one of which being our phones. If you think about all the things that are in the phones, that years ago it was its own device. You know, we used to have, you know, a calendar that we actually wrote in, a calculator that we actually used, a phone that we actually called people on. You know, now all of those devices are all wrapped up in one, and they're all giving you alerts, and they're all trying to fight for the present moment. So I think mindfulness is important because it forces you to create a space of nothingness, you know, and which is important because a lot of times our mind is always racing. We're always thinking about the next thing that we need to do or take care of. But I just think it's really important to have just an appreciation for the present moment. So I think that's the importance of mindfulness.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, your phone can be a resourceful tool, but it also definitely can be a distraction. And many of us, I think, have yet to see the effects of the addiction to cell phones, social media, things like that. It definitely can cause a disruption and a flow into your everyday life. And you have to learn how to utilize your time and use it wisely. And sometimes without notice, you realize that you've been on your phone for a long time, you know, and then you got to learn how to just turn it off and put it away. I try to do that during meal times, dinner time with the family, things like that. You know, the important moments. You don't always have to take a picture or take a video, because sometimes you just need to bring in and embrace the moment, you know, and just enjoy the moment instead of, oh, I got to grab my phone or, you know, things like that. So, but no, great information. Thank you for sharing. And Edward, take it away.
That's Miss Watson, right? Miss Keena
Yes.
Watson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just hearing you talk, it just kind of it was soothing me. I said, I got to grab my tea. Hold on one second, because just so relaxing, just mindfulness and yoga, all this other stuff. It just got me. Sorry, all right. Sorry, just got me in the spirit to drink my tea. But great information. All right, it brings me great excitement to introduce this young lady. Man, she means a lot to me. As right when I first got diagnosed back in I'll let her tell it. But Miss Amy, I'm saying your name wrong. I'm saying your name wrong. I'll talk about how much you mean to me and stuff like that. But that just, anywho, Amy Mons, you know what I mean? I never called you by your last name. That's crazy. But this young lady, right when I first got sick back in 2006 and had to move home from college and started dialysis, and she was actually one of my dialysis techs. So, you know, it definitely, it warms my heart to so many years later to invite her on to have her speak. So same thing, Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, what you do for a living, where you're at, how you became about your involvement in Why Not, and, you know, yeah. And then I ask you a real question.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Eddie. I'm very honored to be here. I am a dialysis technician here in Toledo, Ohio. I've been a tech for 18 years now, and I love my job. I enjoy it. I meet so many people. I love taking care of people, meeting patients, talking with them, getting to know them, helping them in any way that I can. I met Eddie back in 2006, and when I saw him, he inspired me because he would be coming for his treatments and he'd be on his laptop and, you know, putting his this foundation together, and it was an inspiration to me. And so I was able to help him however I could, and I was just very honored. You know, I just followed his lead, and here he is today, and he's doing just wonderful, amazing things.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, she was there at probably like one of the first events ever, if not. So I truly appreciate you as always. So, but what are the challenges what are like the reoccurring challenges for patients, dialysis patients? And like, yeah, what are some issues? What are like some of the biggest challenges that you see patients are having difficulties with?
A lot of the challenges are their medications, taking their medications, especially their phosphorus pills. I have to say that that's probably one of the biggest things that's hard for dialysis patients. Also being consistent with their treatments. I don't think they realize the importance of being at every treatment. You know, they miss one treatment and then they think, oh, it's okay, I can miss another one. And then it becomes a pattern that they're not coming to their treatments. And really all they're doing is they're just hurting themselves. You know, it's very important to be at each treatment.
Why is that? Like, why do you feel they don't, they're not, I guess, compliant, you know, like.
It's hard for some dialysis patients to accept it as a way of life for them and to make it part of their life. I think that it's a struggle. And you have to accept it. That's once you accept it, it makes it a lot easier.
Okay. And like, what would you say is the biggest challenge for someone like newly diagnosed? Is it like the diet change? Is it the lifestyle change? Is it the I know I lost a lot of weight.
It's really everything. A lot of it too, I think, for new dialysis patients is the unknown. They're not informed a lot of times. Like, we'll get patients who go to the hospital for one thing and next thing you know, they're on dialysis and they have no idea what's going on. A lot of times the doctors don't explain to them everything. And they're scared, you know, and it's so much. It is a lot to deal with. Like you said, the diet restrictions, but at the same time, if you're diabetic, it's really a struggle because you have to, you know, balance. Now you have to balance. You have to watch everything. You know, you have phosphorus in a lot of foods that people eat. Who checks for phosphorus? Yeah. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I just remember having to go from not taking no medications to now having the little pill bottle.
Yeah.
With the phosphorus binders and all that. So it is a lot. It is a lot, especially on like on anyone, not even younger patients, on anyone. So thank you and welcome. Back to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Edward, I'd like to ask Amy a question.
Sure.
For those of those that are watching, you know, if you do miss a dialysis treatment, in what ways could that affect them?
Well, your fluids will most definitely build up, cause shortness of breath, an unwanted trip to the ER, and you know, possibly get admitted, a buildup of your toxins, you know, potassium, which could cause a heart attack, you know, so much. It's just so much. It's like, you hear it a lot, the silent disease, it attacks silently. You know, people think that it's just fluid buildup and that's not everything that it is. You know, your kidneys do so much for you, so much. And it's very important to come to your treatments, very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very helpful information and very much needed. So thank you for that. My next question is for Dr. Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, what is the earliest age that you have seen a person with breast cancer?
It's usually in the 20s, And when they're younger, for some reason, the cancer is more aggressive and their survival rates are lower in the 20s. As they get older, it's not as aggressive, but whatever the reason, they still working on why that's the case. But usually when you're puberty, I can't even talk today, puberty age, you don't find breast cancer at that age, like 9 or 10 years old. But again, in a family history, if there's a family history of breast cancer, there still should be some screening, and the doctor should be made aware that that runs in your family. They will tell you that they don't do mammograms until you get to a certain age. But again, if that runs in the family, you need to let that be known and tell them that you want one. Let's say for me,
Go ahead.
the same goes for the men too, if it runs in the family. But usually at that teenage age, you don't find it. It's usually in the 20s. And statistically, there are a large number of women in their 20s dying from breast cancer.
So is breast cancer more prevalent in the younger age or the middle age or just older, or what age is it more prevalent in?
Well, it's really more prevalent by race than it is age. White women tend to have breast cancer more than anybody. They have higher numbers. They're number one with breast cancer. But it's the African American Black women who die from it. And there are various reasons for that. And most of it has to do with, we have more of an aggressive form of breast cancer. The kind of treatment, the testing for it, the mammograms, the lack of insurance. There's a lot of reasons why, but usually it has to do with race more than age.
Ms. Jenkins, I have a question. How do you feel? This is very insightful information. Because I never would have thought women can get breast cancer or in their 20s. I don't know. I guess that don't make sense why I wouldn't know if we working with kids who have dealing with heart issues and stuff at a young age. But is there enough awareness out there for like younger women? Because literally, like, this is my first time, like, I guess really thinking about it. But yeah, like for the younger population,
No, it's not. And the health literacy worldwide is that. But for some reason, when they're younger, there's resistance to being told about different things for prevention, because a lot of this that the younger people encounter can be derailed with a lot of intervention, like poor diets. You can't eat at McDonald's every day and don't have fruits and vegetables. You need to drink some water. A lot of people do not drink water. Yeah, take a lot of pain drugs and things, and the kidneys start to fail too from taking too much medication and not flushing it through the body. But they feel like with breast cancer, that's for old women, and that's not true. I had a cousin that was 29 and died of breast cancer.
Wow.
And he went down swinging, but there was nothing they could do. And a lot of times with high death rates with Black women, it's because it's the diagnosis is received late, because they put it off and they keep putting it off, they keep putting it off. And then when they find out this is what's wrong and they start treatment, they may have that first treatment and they do not like the way it makes them feel, or they have a couple more and the hair starts to come out. And when that hair is gone, they're done with it and they will not go any further. And if you're younger and you still trying to get to a husband and some other things, they tend to let stuff ride. And they do live under a tremendous amount of stress. And they're 20.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm blown away by that. So yeah, definitely. I'm glad that we have you on and to be able to disseminate this information. So all you people out there, hey, pay attention and learn. So thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Thank you. Okay. The next question is for Dr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Dr. Jackson. Okay, what are the signs of PTSD?
Post-traumatic stress disorder, It's usually a result of experiencing a traumatic event. It could either be an intentional event or an accident. The one-time event or a series of events that promote a conscious or subconscious fear within the patient or the client. It's usually a recurrent involuntary stressful memory of the traumatic event. And then there's a recurrent dreams of a related or that are related to the traumatic event. And then with children, they will manifest their PTSD in their play. So say for instance, a child that has experienced a traumatic event, when they have therapy, they will begin to play out this traumatic event in that therapeutic intervention or that therapy session. So that's basically what PTSD is.
Okay. And can you get, I hear people joking around about like, you might grow up in a neighborhood with a lot of stuff going on. Can you get PTSD from just growing up in, you know, a impoverished or rough neighborhood, or from experiencing a traumatic incident? Like, or is it confined to certain parameters or circumstances?
Well, no, it depends on the event in itself, because that particular event will have a profound effect on how you respond. So say for instance, I'm going to use a car accident, for instance. I was in a car accident one day. And when I was in this car accident, we could have turned over, you know, blew out all the 4 tires and all of that. And I wasn't driving, but I was riding with someone. And then the next time that I got in the car, it took me a year to get over that. When I got in the car with someone after that car accident, it was a year before I was actually comfortable, because when I got in the car, I would always tense up. I'd be on alert because I just couldn't relax after that. So any event, a shooting, you know, like in the hood or in the neighborhoods, there's a shooting and you witness it, you know, that's a traumatic event for you, you know, and you will carry that and maybe throughout your lifetime. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that happens to you per se, but to see that event unfold, it can have a profound effect on how you live your life afterwards.
Okay, and I have a question. What's the difference between PTSD and anxiety?
Post-traumatic stress disorder is basically the result of an event, a traumatic event. Anxiety can basically be brought on by stress or other events that have happened. So they are similar, but they also are different. Anxiety can be a chemical imbalance within the body, you know, so there are many different areas, but they are mutually exclusive of each other. Okay,
well, awesome. Well, very informative. I didn't know that. I'm about to be sounding like a doctor. I'm gonna be like, this is that. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
No problem. Back to you, Jonathan. Back to you, Jonathan. You good?
Awesome information. I really appreciate it. That was something that I was going to ask about, the difference between anxiety and PTSD, because they're often kind of used in the same phrases sometimes, and it's important for people to know the difference. So great information there. This one's for.
But I got one more thing. I got one more. Sorry, Jonathan. Like, is there like a calming? Is there like something like a calming? Like, what can you do? What can someone do who has that
PTSD or anxiety?
Yeah. What and maybe can for therapy.
A person who has experienced a traumatic event and they have a post-traumatic stress disorder, usually when they are faced with something that reflects that type of event or brings up those feelings that they may have, it's important to normalize it. It's important to allow them to experience it and then not to affect their functioning. So I think the best way to do it is, say for instance, with the car accident, I may have had a phobia of getting in the car afterwards, right? So I would maybe exercise some incremental desensitization where I get in the car and I ride for 2 minutes around the corner. And if I can do it for 2 minutes, then maybe we'll increase it next time to 4 minutes. So it's very small increments that you introduce that stressor so that that person can work through it and be able to handle it when it's introduced to them again, because life is about stress. We all want to, you know, we are all going to experience some kind of stress, but it's how we handle that stress. And so in order to do so, we have to be able to handle the stress and go through it without it affecting our functioning.
And do you feel, like I said, this is a very, like I said, it's a huge topic that I don't think get discussed enough, because I feel, how do you feel about this, rather, not about how I feel about, don't you think most people got some form of PTSD just because of life is tough, you know, we all, and sometimes I'll be talking to my teammates, like we got teammates, but we're a family, we provide therapy for, like, we all go through, life is tough. And if you haven't, just wait, what they say, just wait, it's coming, you know, if you haven't went through. So do you feel everyone got some form of PTSD?
Well, we all have stress in our life. And it depends on how we handle the stress. You know, some people can have a numerous amount of stress and they're able to not allow it to interfere with their functioning. Some people, it will consume them. Some people will shut down. They won't be able to handle it without some therapeutic intervention. So yeah, we all have stress in our life. We all have post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, depending on the magnitude of it. But it's how we allow it to affect us in our lives, in our daily walk.
Okay. Thank you. Now I'm back to you, Jonathan. Sorry.
Thank you.
It's all good, Edward. It's your show, brother. But you know, I had one more question in relation to organ failure. So you know, when a person goes through organ failure, that's a traumatic event. So would you relate that to PTSD or anxiety?
Good question.
Well, it's a stressor, of course, because it's something that, you know, one is not, used to. And so with regard to organ donation and transplant and that type of thing, it's a mental stressor. Yes, I would say it could bring on PTSD, where someone is, you know, fearful, but usually when it's PTSD, it's more of an event that happened, a stressful event. I would say it's probably more anxiety, because I have this, you know, this diagnosis now. I don't know what to do. And now I have a heightened level of anxiety because of it. But the PTSD is a result of witnessing something or experiencing something. So there is a slight difference in the two, but they can both have a profound effect on one's functioning.
All right, thank you for that. Like Edward was mentioning, it's something that, you know, we just need to talk about more, especially in the organ failure community. You know, some people shy away from mental illness or mental aspect of things, and we don't talk about it enough. I think it needs to be addressed more. So thanks again for the helpful info.
I think it's also important that we now have celebrities who are coming out with their mental issues or mental concerns. And so it will bring a heightened sense of knowledge, if you will, to the masses. And so we have Simone Biles, who's come out and said, oh, I can't do this. Something's going on with me mentally. We have Miss Osaka, I think it's Naomi Osaka. She's come out, you know, and said she has some mental challenges. And so that will bring notoriety to the issue, and maybe, just maybe, that people will begin to take a look at it more seriously and not ignore it, because it is very real and it has been ignored. You know that when Ronald Reagan was the president, he shut down many of the facilities that were privy to or used to support and assist the mentally ill. And so once that happened, now you got a numerous amount of homeless people. They're everywhere, okay? And so now they're trying to backtrack and you know, clean it up. But it's basically out of control now. So my prayer is that the mental illness will be addressed, and there's a comorbidity basically with the substance abuse and all of those things come into play when you talk about the mentally ill. So hopefully the heightened sense of awareness will bring forth resources and support for those who so much need it.
All right, thank you again, Dr. Jackson, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next question is for panelist Kina Watson. Kina, when people meditate, what are they trying to accomplish?
Personally, when I meditate, I am more or less trying to put myself in a state of, again, nothingness. Practicing my breathing, because that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't appreciate enough is breath, and the fact that, you know, a lot of our moods, a lot of things that, you know, we face on a daily basis can be controlled if we just take a minute and just breathe. You know, a lot of times we are in situations where me personally, I didn't understand the importance of this until I got an Apple Watch, which is funny because, you know, it's technology, but the Apple Watch has this neat little app where it'll alert you on certain vitals or different things within your body. And I noticed that I kept getting the alert to stop and breathe. And I was just like, what do you mean stop and breathe? I'm alive. What is this thing talking about? You know what I mean? So what it'll do is it'll alert you and it'll say, stop and breathe. And it'll actually coach you on in and out, in and out. And I really understood it. I don't know what it was, but it just clicked, you know, like we move through life and we're forgetting to just breathe. You know what I mean? We're always in these modes where, and of course it could be PTSD, it could be anxiety and different things like that, where we're always just moving and we're forgetting to just be, you know, and just practice breathing. So yeah, that's what I have to add on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely something that sometimes we just have to stop. They call smell the roses and slow down and just kind of take it, you know, and take it easy and kind of just relax and breathe, you know, like you were saying. So that's definitely some helpful information, and I appreciate you sharing, Edward.
Yeah, I would like to chime in. Miss Watson, what is it? Is it a challenge, or is it just made for, like, when you're young, it's hard to kind of like be still, like how could we encourage the youth to get into like meditating and to getting to just like this, like I said, a soulful feel? Because, like, for an example, in college, right, I failed yoga. You know, I couldn't get up that early. I had an 8 o'clock yoga class. I was getting up. They said the down doggy. I was down there asleep. You know, seriously, I failed yoga. I'm telling the people I think I failed yoga or something for not coming. But now, you know, I started going through some different life circumstances and just being an adult and just, you know, in work and stuff like that. So much pressure is that now it's easy for me. Like, I'm meditating right now. I'm meditating mentally down here between you and Dr. Jackson and the other things, you know, hearing the things about the breast cancer and hearing, you know, dialysis, and then listening to you and Dr. Jackson. I'm like trying to meditate my spirit. And, you know, you just learn how, like, when you get older, you kind of appreciate, like Tafaro used to always just tell me, like, I meditate in the morning. I'm like, why you get up at 5 a.m. to meditate? But, you know, now I'm a little older, I understand. So how can we get the youth? How can we urge? And is that possible to get the youth more into like meditating in a mindful spirit without going through something traumatic?
I think that you can. I have some of the things that I do with my own children is sometimes they'll come home from school and they've had a really rough day, you know, and I could tell by, you know, how overly excited they are, even if it was a bad day, but how overly excited they are about explaining it and talking about it and expressing their views about it and different things like that. I will listen, but I will also ask them to just sit with me, just chill. Don't look at your phone. I'm not going to look at mine, and we're just going to chill. You know, we're not going to say anything. We're just going to just be right in this moment, you know. And sometimes I'll turn on a guided meditation, because there's several guided meditation videos on YouTube. With my daughter, I do things such as, you know, allow her to lay in my lap and just turn on a guided meditation video and just let it take it away. You know, I think I don't think they really understand the magnitude of what I'm showing them right now, but eventually as they get older, I believe that I'm hoping that this is a tool that they'll, reach back and pull out when they need it. So, but I think the main thing is creating a balance with technology. We have the younger generation is very reliable. They rely on technology a lot. I think it's a good thing, and I also think it's a bad thing. I think as parents and as caregivers, we have to enforce, them being able to think for themselves, them being able to have their own opinion and their own thoughts outside of what's being fed to them. So yeah, I think creating boundaries with technology and teaching your children mindful techniques will be great.
Definitely. You can chime in, Dr. Jenkins. I see your hand raised. I'm not sure if you did it by mistake or what. Dr. Jenkins.
It was a mistake.
Okay, great. Now, so parents out there, so do you feel that and this for Ms. Watkins, do you feel that meditation and stuff should be like in elementary school? Like I said, I didn't have yoga offered to me till I got to college, and I did it as an elective. Do you feel like it should be in like in like elementary school and like junior high?
Most definitely. A lot of children come to school and they act out on because of the environment they're being raised in, the environment they're, living in. And sometimes they need somebody to create a safe space for them to just either cry it out, scream it out, meditate it out, whatever. And I think it's very imperative. Sometimes kids bring certain behaviors to school and they're just acting out from the environment that they're in. But I think meditation and yoga is a great way to redirect children. If they're frustrated, they just take 5 minutes. You want to fight, cool. Sit here for 5 minutes and breathe, and then let me know if you still want to fight after this 5 minutes. And if they do, send them back for another 5 minutes, guys. But the concept is just to let them, decompress themselves.
Hey, it sounds simple, but why isn't it implemented? That would definitely give you some time to sit there and then go at it if y'all still feel it. That's funny, but it's true. So definitely thank you for that. And okay, we already asked her the question, right? I got so sidetracked. You asked her the question, right, Jonathan? I got sidetracked. I'm not sure who's up now. I believe Amy's up.
Amy.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Amy.
Yes.
What are the main things that dialysis patients should know about the function of their dialysis center, like how it operates and like what to expect for patients who just came in or new to it, and also the daily operations of the dialysis center, cleaning, meds, physicians, dietitians, responsibility, and like I know one of my team members, Philip, he does dialysis at home. And I always tell him, I'm like, man, I commend you. He talking about I'm grabbing like 40 boxes of supplies and stuff like that. I was like, I don't see how you do it at home. I needed to go in there. I'm not as responsible enough to do it at home without infections. I had to come in to see amazing people like you. But yeah, how does the dialysis center work? And for those who never been in dialysis center, can you explain them the dialysis operations and what it's like when someone come in from start to finish of treatment?
So they will come 3 days a week, typically either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, set time. And there's always someone there to help them with whatever, dietitian. We have a nurse practitioner come in once a week. The doctor sees them once a month. There's always a nurse there. There's social workers, always someone there to support them, help them with whatever they need. whether it's, it could be with a utility bill from home, that, their lights were shut off. They need help with transportation, and anything, medications. They need refills on their medications. Again, a lot. They're not just there for a dialysis treatment. They're there for so much more.
Okay.
And even if it's just communicating, I mean, I see the patients 3 times a week, so I'm, really close with a lot of them. I see them more than my family members.
That's fair.
If I may step in here for a second, because when me and Tafaro were talking about these questions, and one of the main things you try to figure out is what are we trying to get from a question? What kind of information are we trying to extract from somebody that may be answering this question? So I think the main thing was more or less in terms of like, what should a dialysis patient see happening in their center while they're there? So cleaning, how should their center be cleaned, their areas be cleaned? Because I know I've seen a lot of people, they end up having infections and things of that nature because, not all dialysis centers clean thoroughly or the way that they're supposed to. The doctor may not show up on some days or some things, when they need to be seen. Like you're saying, once a month. I know mine at DaVita actually used to come once a week on Monday. And so we saw him pretty frequently. And so the reason why I brought this up is that not outside of the fact that of the things that I've heard is that it doesn't add up to what I was able to see in my center on a day-to-day basis when I had to go in, which was thorough cleaning. All the nurses were thorough in what they were doing, and they were consistent with how they ran things in the center. Everything was consistent for them. And so I've heard a lot of stories of some people who just had horrible, people who work in their dialysis centers, and it's not the best, and it's not the most, it's not sterile and things of that nature. So I think that's kind of more or less where the question was heading, like, what should they be seeing happening in their dialysis center that really should be going on other than what they're seeing?
Well, in my 18 years of doing dialysis, I have never, ever seen myself, my coworkers, not disinfect anything. That's very, very important. And a lot of times the patients, they don't always see us doing that because it's in between one patient leaving and another one coming in. Everything is disinfected in between the patients. We do not set the machines up until the patient that was sitting there is gone. So nothing is set up until the previous patient is gone. Everything is sterilized with bleach. Let's see, what else? I'm sorry, what else was your question?
No, I mean, that pretty much kind of hits everything, puts everything together. It was, very impactful for people to understand how the cleanliness of their area is important, not only just for the center itself or the workers, but for them as patients. It's very important because, you're there, you have open wounds if you have a catheter or things like that. And so if things aren't cleaned sterilely, you have bacteria and things like that that can happen and make infections. Right. So, that's something that's very important. I think that people who may be in the transition of going to hemodialysis or even in-home hemodialysis, a lot of stuff you can take from not just your center, but to home, home as well, doing PD as well. Like you mentioned, Eddie mentioned, I do PD. So, to be able to make sure I constantly keep Clorox wipes in my room, making sure I clean my machine and things like that. So Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Jonathan. And Ms. Watson left, so the next question for.
Oh, sure. And thanks again to Ms. Watson. She was very informative information. The next question is going to be for Dr. Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, we'd already kind of discussed this, but can men develop breast cancer, and what's the percentage of men getting breast cancer? And I'm gonna add to that as well. What should they be looking for, and where's the sort of the areas that they need to be checking in their chest for breast cancer?
Okay. It's like roughly 1 out of every 833 men will develop breast cancer. So that is a low percentage of men. It's primarily 100 times lower for white men and 70% lower for black men. So the symptoms are the skin, the dimples, the nipple retracts, or there's a discharge, a lump, or a swelling that could be painful. There's also sometimes scaly skin around the nipple on your chest. And if the cancer spread to the lymph nodes, it's under the arms that could cause swelling, and under the armpit, it would be just uncomfortable. And men tend to not go to doctors even though they know something is wrong. And so I think that's why the ones who, part of them passing from it is low too, but they still would have more of an aggressive treatment if they would have went in earlier and had somebody diagnose that that's what that was. But anytime that things look different on your chest, don't just assume that it's the bath oil or body wash you're using to make you break out. And this goes for women too. Anything that's off the norm, you need to check it out and see, what is this? Because a lot of times it could be something just like that, and you catch it early, and the treatment is not as severe with it. Mm-hmm.
All right, that's very informative information. And I'm gonna ask you another question. What about products? With men, I know I personally, not everybody, but personally, I use deodorant and things like that, colognes, things like that. So are there products that we should be aware of or know about that could be cancerous possibly to us, potentially?
They have studies on the deodorants because that's where they thought that was a culprit of breast cancer, but it's not. It can be some hair products and things that are used. You have to look at what's in a lot of stuff we use on our bodies with these hair products. And that's why you see a lot of people who are beauticians and hairstylists coming down with all sorts of cancers because they're inhaling those fumes, which are emanating from the solutions that they're using. So they try to get you to not use a lot of things that have stuff in it that's harsh, with lyes and different chemicals in it. Do something more natural, like botanicals, even down to your face washes. A lot of your products now are botanicals instead of getting stuff that have additives. If it's a lot of stuff where you got to go look up to see what it means, you should probably not be using it, because you shouldn't have to go look up something. If it says aloe vera, we all know what aloe vera is. But if you got something with more than 3 syllables and you don't know what it is, you need to look it up and see what that is and what effect it has on your particular ethnic group. Because we all respond different to different things. We do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a misnomer about deodorant. Deodorant and microwave, same thing. They try to say that microwaves cause cancer, and they really haven't proven that. But the one thing that we all do to a point is leave those plastic water bottles in the car, and the heat from that, for some reason, does something, and we consume that water. We got to stop doing that. We put a metal cup in the car, and pour that water in the cup and get it out that plastic bottle.
Awesome,
that
awesome information.
Definitely is causing a problem now.
Yeah. That's some great information. Thanks for sharing, Edward.
Yes, definitely great information. I'm muted. Okay, great. This is for Dr. Jackson. What is your recommended time that someone needs to see a therapist once they start seeing one?
Okay, thank you. So it's best to make a determination as to the time frame to have therapy or therapeutic intervention after you assess the person, because everyone will come to therapy with a different level of need, if you will. And so the range of treatment can vary depending upon the patient's presented diagnosis and how it has impaired their living or their level of functioning. So sessions can range anywhere from 8 weeks to an indefinite period of time. I've had people or patients that have been in therapy for 14 years. And so it depends on the magnitude of their stressors and their life challenges that will kind of drive how long they should be in therapy. Now, there's of course always the beginning, middle, and end phases of therapy. But once you go through that process with them and their issues are not resolved, then it's important that you begin to take a look at the fact that if they need to have additional therapy, if the therapy session may not have been the appropriate treatment for that person, and then you can make an informed decision about how you can move forward and assist that person.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. Thank you.
Quite welcome.
All right, Jonathan, take us on with this last one.
Thanks for that information, Dr. Jackson. Thanks
You're
again,
quite welcome.
Edward. This next last question is for our dialysis tech, Amy. Amy, what are the proper procedures for the sterilization of a section, the chair, the machine, and area around in a dialysis center?
Everything is wiped down with bleach. In between each patient, we use bleach. Lots of bleach. Hand sanitizer, gloves for everything. Even after clean gloves are used to set the machine up, and then after that, the gloves are discarded. Hand washing in between every time you take your gloves off. Hand sanitizer. Everything, the chair, the whole chair is clean, opened up, everything.
Yeah, I did hemodialysis in center for about 10 months before I transitioned to home hemodialysis. Before I got my transplant, and I noticed that in my local center, I had DaVita. They had 4 technicians or 4 patients for every 1 technician. Is that kind of how your center did as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We are 4 to 1.
Yeah. Do you ever find it difficult? Because it seemed like as the patients would come in that, you had to really move quickly and wipe down the machines and everything really quickly, because it seemed like it was a lot about, speed and getting the next patient on.
I think that's a lot of how maybe individuals tend to work. Back in the day, that's kind of like how it used to be. It's like, oh my, come on, move, move, move. I don't work like that. I'm more about safety and being effective. Those are my 2 most important things of how I work.
Yeah, that's definitely an important factor, because you definitely want to be clean and sanitized for the next patient, and things like that. So that's definitely informative information.
But I will say that from a patient's perspective, they are all about speed. because they don't want to be there. So they want us to hurry up,
right,
so they can hurry up and get on the machine and get out of there as soon as possible.
right. And another thing is like chair time and being on time, because
Yes.
a lot of times people would be late, and then that would just throw everybody else's, like a domino effect, throw everybody else's schedule off. And and that would also wonder why, because some people would and say, why are you guys running late? And it ended up being because a patient would be late and throw the whole schedule off. So
yeah.
Edward, do you have any more questions for Amy?
No, I don't have any more questions, but I just wanted to thank each of you. Like I said, you all were amazing. You are very informative. Dr. Jenkins got me checking my chest, you know what I mean? Dr. Jackson got me checking my mental health. She got me. So, Amy got me thanking God I'm not back in the dialysis center, and Miss Watson was, she just got me ready to go drink some tea. So you all were awesome. And so it was an honor to share this stage with you, Jonathan. Like I said, this is the first of many to come. We're gonna make some special stuff happen, but definitely give each of yourselves a round of applause. Like I said, pat on the back, a hug, whatever you do. Like I said, we sincerely appreciate that. I guess in closing, I would like to open up the floor to both the event coordinators, both Philip Jones and Mr. Tafaro Cook, for any last words before I say a brief message and close up. Thank you all, though.
Go ahead, Philip. Then I'll go after you.
All right. No, I wanted to say thank you to all the panelists that were here today. Definitely thank you to this one, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Jenkins. That's, fam. I think everybody that was on here is some kind of family within Why Not. Amy is beginning with Why Not, coming back in. Kina, said, yes with no problem to Tafaro. And Dr. Jenkins is my aunt. Dr. Yvette is like an aunt, grew up with her and her kids at church. So I appreciate them being involved in this panel with us today and all the information. Thank you very much, Mr. Cook.
Thank you, everybody. Great information. I had a wonderful time. I want to thank you, Eddie and Phil, for putting up with me and complaining my complaints and my challenges. But we did it. I can't lie, I'm tired, but I'm super, super happy that it was a success. Jonathan, thank you so much. Our other panelists from the other days, Erica, Sharon, Jim. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it we couldn't do it without all these great people bringing their knowledge to the youth. It's so important, and I hope everybody got something out of it like I did. I feel so grateful to hear people, and the peer-on-peer panel, man, this was outstanding. So thank you. Back to you, Eddie.
Real quick, Eddie. I don't want to go back to the peer-to-peer, like Farrell said, man. I want to thank the kids that were fortunate to give us their time. Kids think all their time is literally all theirs, and so they were able to bless us and the people watching with their time and their time to talk not only to you, Eddie, but to each other, and giving those encouraging words and words of wisdom that they were able to bring today. So I definitely want to say thank you to all the kids that were in the peer-to-peer. We definitely appreciate you, because we do this for you. At the end of the day, we do this for the youth. So for them to give us their time, we're definitely grateful. So thank you, Mr. Drake.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Tafaro. And I'll be brief, but like I said, none of this would be possible without the man above. Like it's crazy. Like we've been around for like 16 years, and like I said, we're no corporate organization. Like I say, we're all busy with our outside companies and stuff like that, but we're just ordinary individuals that come together, and the Lord sprinkling a little bit of flavor, a little favor on it, and like every time, amazing things, miracles happen. So I'm just thankful. Like I said, again, thank you to both Philip and Tafaro, who took the lead on this. And organize, put this thing together, and allow me just to be the lead and, you know, do what I do. So we'd like to thank our sponsors behind us once again, CareDX, Kidney Care Coaches, What's the Move Media Group, A Second Chance Podcast, and Why Not Me Enterprises, and everyone else who laid the brick over the years. It's hundreds of individuals. Once again, like I said yesterday, too many to name. And teamwork makes the dream work, and it's truly the case in this scenario in our organization. We're a family. So lastly, I just encourage you all to follow us on social media at Why Not Connect on all social media sites. Also donate to our efforts. As you can see, like I said, we do everything from, we got a school supply drive coming up. So we're donating at various children's hospitals across the country. So if you would like to donate, please go ahead. You know, we got more symposiums and holiday drives and just the day-to-day support groups and so on and so forth. So please support us. And lastly, just why not have a great evening, and why not dream, believe, persevere, then give back. Like I said, you're looking at a room full of people that shows that anything is possible. Anything that you put your mind to is possible. You know, like it's a room full of overcomers and, you know, believers and dreamers and you know, and achievers. So again, thank you. God bless you. And why not have a great evening? Take us out, Lily. Play the Why Not You song, please. If it's up. If not, have a great night.
Oh, sorry, I don't have enough.
Why is she not up? Let's give Lily a shout out. Why she put the Why Not You song and take us out? Lily, come on the screen. She helped pull the strings behind
Lily,
us.
thank you so much for doing everything. Lily, you just don't know how much she makes the magic happen. People don't know. Lily, can you come up and show your beautiful face so we can all see?
There she
All
is.
right, I have the song up too.
Thank you, Lily.
Anything, ideas that come to us, we're like, Lily, do it. She just, okay.
Right.
Happy to help.
She makes it happen for us, for real.
I'm drinking my mindful tea. Cheers.
I am the Blacksmith Cop.
I'm drinking my water.
I'm here with my man Eddie Drake of the Why Not Foundation. And we just want to talk to you. Somebody's sister, a brother, father, a mother, a wife or a husband, a nephew, a cousin. They're looking for a little bit of love, hey. Somebody show them some love.
Hey, what's this called?
Why not?
What's the symposium called?
Why not?
Disease.
Why not?
Prevention and Wellness Symposium.
This is the Why Not crew, and all we asking is why not you? Come with the Why Not You. And on this occasion,
shout out to Archie
give
Smith,
one
Southern
donation,
California,
and now you
our board
may
chairman.
not receive a standing ovation. Nah, your reward is so much better than that.
Shout out to Victoria.
The feeling of giving a second chance
The
in
whole
life, the
family.
only second
Give a
chance.
shout out
is
to
priceless.
everybody.
Man,
Will,
it's your
Porter,
compassion.
everybody.
You can come and give it. There's no special form of fashion. Giving a child another chance to smile, just imagine.
I cut it out after this part.
But
And if you see it, we asking what? There we go. We done. We out of here. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.